And to me, it's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating because
multiple mental health clinicians said that Derek had limited intellectual ability and was not capable of consenting.
congratulations.
Boom. Right? Change soccer in America forever.
Hella bugs out here. Bro, I can't keep caressing my leg, boy. I'm trying to get freaky out here.
Your step siblings and also husband and wife.
I can't do any of that stuff.
That's right. Yeah, in fact, soccer can crawl up my asshole and die for all I care.
And that's what the kids do, but I'm a little older. I like that shirt tucked in.
Who the hell told you that would not be seen on television?
Anal sex is the process of inserting a penis into the anus of another partner.
Oh, shit. I love that informational piece because, you know, before I heard that, I really wasn't sure what anal sex was.
Yeah,
I thought
it deserved the star going overhead. You know, the more you know.
I know. It's really mind blowing for me. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are happy to be here. We are ecstatic, of course, as most people are, that this collective clamor that we created, at least according to reporters that I know personally, and including some articles that came out today that we'll talk about, said it was the noise, man. It got them worried. But hopefully it wasn't just the noise. Hopefully it was also Matt Crocker. And he says that in his interview with reporters that, you know, he also looked at the data and, you know, the process and whether or not he thought it was getting better or getting worse. And anyhow, we'll get into all that.
Well, yeah,
but
I think a lot of the noise that, you know, we as a community, our group here, have all been pushing. I think definitely started it all. But I would say probably one thing that probably pushed U.S. Soccer more to make a decision is once all the supporter groups got involved.
Yeah,
once you start seeing all that coming, like we gotta really do it. And then all of a sudden, on top, once the supporter groups all jumped on board, and then all the mainstream media jumped on board, and like, oh shit, we probably should do something right now.
Mainstream media, you know, soccer media, which isn't so mainstream, but became suddenly mainstream, and all the different shows out there who've been calling for this for a long, long time. And in fact, all of us were opposed to rehiring Gregg in the first place. And yeah, so it's over. A lot of us celebrated yesterday. I know, Pete and Tack were drinking live on their show.
Yeah, I know. People kept pushing, said, hey, send Straight Red Card the link.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know, we'll be on their channel. They'll be on our channel. It'll be all good.
Yeah, and I think I wrote this to you last night. Like, I've been up, you know, doing all this, trying to figure out a clue, trying to get some info out of somebody. And so I'd been up for 18 hours straight. And by 8 o'clock, I was just knackered, absolutely knackered. So I went to bed at 8 p.m. and woke up at like 3 in the morning. Like, that's a horrible sleep schedule. 7 hours of sleep, sure. But I'm up at 3 in the morning. How is that going to really help? How's that going to help me function for the rest of the day if I'm getting up at 3 in the morning? You're
on that old man schedule. You know, you go to MCL to get you know, dinner at 4 o'clock. You rush home to watch Murder, She Wrote at 6, and you're in bed by 6:30.
Yeah, not even my parents do that. And they're really old. Anyhow, for those of you who are probably also watching the president speak right now, so I understand. I didn't know this was going to go on as long as it has. I figured it might affect some of our numbers because, well, I mean, it's kind of important. Like, everybody's really curious. Like, what's he going to come out and say?
I don't know how many. I don't know how many of our listeners are active in that scene that they're going to be like, yeah,
it's a handful.
I'll watch Biden talk instead of watching the Straight Red Card.
It's been going on for a while, though. I was shocked. I thought this would be like 40 minutes, 35 minutes.
But
I
couldn't imagine he could talk for so long.
It's still on. All right. So
I will say though, the whole news of Berhalter getting let go and the pursuit for a new manager really dwarfed my big news that I posted on X. I don't think enough people saw it. It really grinded my gears.
What was your big announcement?
I finally stopped being lazy, and I got us on Apple Podcasts.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm sitting there listening to our show, and of course we got like a minute some change of intro. Before I imagine somebody's like, the straight red card. Maybe I'm gonna listen to a little bit of them. They hit play, and then it's a minute and some change of the countdown music. You can't see the countdown then, and then all of a sudden you have a hodgepodge of random sound bites from that actually make a lot more sense when you just listen to it. Mm-hmm. I feel like when you're watching it, you're paying attention too much to what's happening on the screen. But if you're just listening to the our intro, it is actually a nice, smooth, linear, intro.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think it was an absolute accident. Trust me. I did not do that on purpose. So
yeah. Anyhow. So guys, want to watch us on YouTube? Watch us on Twitter. By all means, do so. We appreciate that. But we are also on Apple iTunes podcast. So if you want to, when you have that long drive to wherever you're going to go, maybe just down the street in California or up to Michigan from here, and you need something to listen to with your family, your wife Sally and your 2 6-year-old kids.
Yeah,
put on the Red Card podcast.
That's probably a really, really bad recommendation. If you do, wear headphones, but you shouldn't be wearing headphones while you're driving. Anyhow, I'm sure that Pete, Tact, and I are all just relieved we won't be texting each other every 30 seconds anymore. Like,
hey, did you hear something? Did you hear something? Did you hear something?
Yeah, it's been a crazy...
You know the reason why you didn't hear anything, Derek. You know why? Because you're not really a journalist. You're not a reputable journalist.
Oh, yeah,
you don't have any
right
any sources. That's why Tenorio.
Paul. Yeah.
By him and Doug, they got the inside scoops because they have the real sources, Derek.
Yeah, I know. Pete reminds everybody of that as well. But we covered that. If you didn't hear it, we covered it in the last show. That whole spiel with Jake, and probably not going to cover it again because
I have no intention to. It's fun to bring up just in passing, not necessarily mention names.
It just makes sense that if you're going to do a hit piece on somebody, you might want to research them and find out a little about who they are and what their background is. That probably would be a smart idea. Just saying.
I bet you Jake has no idea when you lost your virginity, Derek. That's kind of important news. And to whom?
Jesus Christ. That's not what I'm asking him to research.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my virginity is rather near nor there, and certainly doesn't pertain to my soccer experience and how long I've been watching the game and covering the game and writing the game, blah, 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 and all the people we've had on our show. So anyhow, we'll be covering everything from, of course, how this all went down, what the mainstream media reaction was, who the new coach could be, and we'll obviously get into everything from, the funniest one I heard for me personally was Charlie picking Xavi. Like there's a chance in holy hell that's happening. And that would even be a good fit for our team. You know how frustrated Xavi would be coaching our team? It would be absolutely mind-blowingly frustrating for him. And, this is the same guy who thought Dest sucked. You think Dest wants him on our team? I don't think so. But again, it's not really about what the players want, which we'll get into as well. I'm glad or hoping that whoever the new manager is, that's one of the things that gets, hacked. Like this whole leadership council thing and the players running, the tail wagging the dog, that needs to end. So we'll cover all of those things. Jace Davis was sort of a subtle, but it might have been indirectly. It was somebody else he might have probably read on Twitter. Uh-oh, what's going on?
Had to kill something.
Oh, okay.
In my gentleman's club here, there was a random bug.
Okay.
Wasn't having it.
And he might have said somebody else who was, quoting something that I said that he kind of criticized on his show, which, I had to take back later on. So, all right. Well, let's get this party started. Again, I just want to say thanks to all of you that put the pressure on out there. We'll cover kind of what some mainstream media guys thought about what were the reasons that Gregg really got fired. And including an old, I wouldn't call him a friend at all, because it's probably been years since I've had a communication with Leander. It's been a long time, but he wrote an article we'll be covering as well, which some of you probably have read. The turn of the background.
I was never going to try to guess his last name, how you pronounce that. It's never going to be a chance in hell.
I probably am getting it wrong. I just remember the Leander part. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. I don't know where to start. My body is gone. My wife's box eater is gone. I will miss Gregg. Luckily, I'm staying. You'll never get rid of me. We love you, Gregg. Yeah, Michael, you've been there for so long. I don't see how they could get rid of you.
Yeah,
I really don't. Jose Reyes for $5. Thank you, Jose.
Plus, we don't want Michael to go anywhere. He's just a bucket of content for us. So why?
No, I mean, he used to be, but as you well know, even when JER, journalist, puts up the videos of the interviews now with the doesn't matter if it's with the players or with if it was with Gregg. They have purposefully now cut Michael Cameraman out of it. Like, you're not allowed to start filming until Michael's done giving his grand intro to the press and the media so he can set the stage and the narrative before the interview starts. Occasionally, we've heard him pipe in between, like Colombia is undefeated in 20 games, and we are likely to lose the game.
Thank goodness they softened that blow, man. Otherwise, that 5-0 loss would have been heartbreaking.
5-1.
Whatever, who cares?
All right, recovery gift, says Jose. He's gone, boys. Drinking a lager now to fight against picking a bad coach. I am hoping for Renard. Also, please be credible tonight.
We'll try.
We'll try our best not to throw shit against the wall. Although I have heard, and I think it's pretty public already, that U.S. Soccer's definitely already reached out to her, Renard. So
I've got that coming up. Yeah, we'll talk about that briefly.
Okay,
not much to talk about there, but
right. U.S. men's national team report for $4.99. Thank you, brother. Shout out to you guys for helping to get Gregg out. The fan base couldn't do it without you guys. I'm very glad, and you guys came back in 2021. Yeah, we did. I remember when Pete started his show, and Pete were already talking kind of almost at the beginning of his show. And I started thinking, Pete's he's already making a difference. His show's been going on for like 8 months. Why don't Brett and I come back? What the hell? And so we are, and we did. I'm glad we came back. Okay. Again,
I'd like to thank the beer bug for really enforcing that. Cause that to happen.
Who?
The beer bug.
Enforcing what?
Enforcing, but encouraging us to come back and do it in a podcast.
Oh yeah, that kind of gave us something to do.
Yeah,
since we were all locked in our homes anyhow. And 11 Yanks for $5. Hey Pete, how you doing, man? It's been a pleasure.
I've got beef with Pete and Tact right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be interesting.
They kept trying to push Berhalter onto Chicago.
Oh,
they kept saying like, Berhalter needs to go to Chicago. That's a great place because in Pete's words, Chicago loves mediocrity or below mediocrity. So therefore,
that sounds like
Berhalter to Chicago, and I'm like, don't put that evil on me.
Sounds like a you problem mostly.
That's why I said I got beef.
It's kind of funny because Pete's giving us back the $5 we donated to him yesterday.
I'll come back to your super chat here in a second, Pete.
Oh, Pete,
he goes, laughing my ass off. Sacrifices must be made.
Well, he's a Chicago fan too, so yeah. I know you have things to do, Pete, but if you want to jump on, just let us know. And I know you're probably exhausted. And I know why you've already done 2 shows today.
Well, he was trying to schedule a council video during our show. Like, hey, you guys want to do the council tonight? I'm like, I can't. We're already going to be live.
Okay. This is our regular broadcast. For the about 415 of you here, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. We appreciate you joining us tonight. 11. So Pete says, to Berhalter being out, boys. Cheers. Yes, cheers indeed. Let's see if I can get it in the picture. There we go. A little zero sugar sun kiss and vodka. I mean, it gets gross after a while, but at least it has no real sugar in it. And what's yours? Hawaiian Punch?
Yeah,
no, Sprite.
It's Sprite and vodka, but now you can see the difference. Once it gets not so cold, the cup turns back to its normal clear color. Well,
do they actually sell Hawaiian Punch anymore in a 2-liter bottle?
2-liter, I don't know. It's usually a giant fucking jug.
Yeah. Okay. He says, Berhalter being out, boys. Cheers. That was a crazy week. It was weekend leading up to it as well. Anyway, cheers and thanks for the bottom of the basement journalism and high quality entertainment. Yes, the bottom of the barrel. Oh, the bottom of the basement. Bottom of the barrel would have
below the basement, I believe, is what it is.
I think it was below the basement. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even the bottom of the basement. We're like that dirt that goes underneath the foundation of the basement.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. All right. Thanks, Pete.
Do you think we're gonna get? Do you think we're gonna get sued if we do the Jabronis YouTube Jabronis shirt?
No, I don't think. I think we should do a YouTube Jabroni shirt.
I think we should.
It'll have Pete's logo on there.
I mean, do we have a good artist lined up? I could do something, but I mean that'd be
no.
Look, Bush League.
We just ask our friend to do it.
Okay.
Same guy who did our logo. Simon Allen. Simon, if you're out there, which I know you don't watch many YouTube stuff, so you're not.
I communicate with Simon on a regular.
Do you?
Yeah.
On Twitter.
On the Twits, yeah.
Yeah, and he's still doing his show, World Soccer.
Yeah, of course. The Dalai Lama comes up every now and then.
Dalai Lama of soccer. Okay. Yeah, he's another original. I mean, he's really been around for a really, really long time, Simon Allen. If you don't know him, you're not going to agree with him. Trust me. You're just not going to agree with them very often. In fact, Simon and I had so many disagreements over the years. Guess what? We were still friends. So you can be friends with people you disagree with.
Shocking.
I know, it's possible. All right, I'll let you get let's get it started.
Derek, you may want to cover your screen. I know we're already 20 minutes in, but our good friend Salty Loads has come up with a couple new bingo cards for us.
Salty Loads.
Yeah. So I guess you guys can cheat. That's 20 minutes of content that you can cheat on your bingo card if you wish. Thank you, Salty Loads, for coming out with the new ones. Here's the first one. Ooh, Jesus Ferrer on that one. Good luck in that.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about
going to come up in this conversation.
Yeah, that's not happening. Don't pick that card.
All right, here's the second one. Ooh, I already see some spoiler alerts on that one. All right, moving on to the number three card.
That sounds like you haven't slept much either.
The third card. I could blame kids, but they haven't been here for like a week and a half, so.
Oh, man, you should be partying like it's 1999.
I know, right? All right, there are all the cards. Derek, you can come back anytime you want.
All right, I'm back, folks.
Welcome back, Derek.
Basically, that's so I don't cheat and know.
Start singing Even Flow or doing any form of Pearl Jam. Yeah, you'd be
Even hardcore. Flow.
You'd pick one card and you just make sure that you'd give them a guarantee win.
Hey, I'll do anything to make people happy. You know me, I'm a real people pleaser.
Brian DeMarco says, "Oh shit, we've not played bingo in forever." I know, man. I mean, Mitch been busy apparently.
Yep. All right,
but
so
yeah, you know what? He was super stoked with the whole news of us getting an iTunes podcast account set up. No, wait, it was Berhalter leaving. He said, "Hey, come up with some new ones."
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. It's a lot of fun when you make those, Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do we got, Brett?
All right, moving on to some soccer fluff because that's how we do it.
Okay.
Ooh, you cannot see that. But I said Larry was right.
From WWE.
Not often I say this.
No,
Larry was right.
No, that's not a joke. Perhaps this is a better experience than somebody from a fake sporting organization.
We got our new chief of marketing officer.
Oh, she's
apparently
from
she came from WWE. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean that's odd.
Hey, Larry, what's up, buddy?
But there probably aren't like a predominant amount of marketing people out there from you would think maybe they would find somebody from a former MLS team that was marketing, because they of their connections with MLS, but maybe they wanted to distance themselves and make it look like it wasn't an old boys club and hire somebody who's like from, fake sports.
I'm hoping they put some production level into the interviews now and make them look like WWE like interviews.
I would be spectacular.
I mean, it writes itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's going to do that. McKenny, maybe.
Yeah.
You might be able to talk Adams into doing one of those, but Pulisic ain't doing it.
So McKinney starts throwing on we're going to be taking on the rude Canadians,
something
Sunday,
like that.
Sunday.
Right. I hope Wes forgives us for calling him fat.
Does he not like us? It's funny.
No, I'm sure it got back to him. Okay.
No, he probably looks at himself and says, "Yeah, just shave off a pound or two."
Yeah, that's all we were saying. I just don't want him to be mad at us forever.
I know. Pete and Tact went on this, along. Hey, Timmy Weah, we forgive you for getting that red card, but thank you. You are a patriot. Blah blah blah, etc. etc.
That was harsh.
I wonder if this is all a coordinated attack. Timmy's like, well, I'll go ahead and get the red card in this game, guys. I'll bite that bullet.
No.
And McKinney goes, you know what? I'll eat a little bit more ranch on my pizza.
I'm just telling you.
Because new coach comes in September, he's going to be sleek.
We all know how much Timothy Weah loves him some Gregg. He is probably devastated by what just happened because I'm sure he feels responsible for it somehow. I'm sure he looks in the mirror and go, I just got the guy I love, Gregg Berhalter, fired. And that's not true. It wasn't all just you, did it? It didn't help him.
It was a team effort.
But we were up 1-0, and then we went to a 5-3-1. Of course. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
No, we went to the 5-3-1 at halftime, so we actually were tied 1-1.
Yeah, I know. But the point is,
you said we were up 1-0 and we went to a 5-3-1. Just
I mean,
a little,
technically correct, yes. But being outnumbered in the midfield for the rest of the game was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
God, that was such a stupid game. That second half, what? And you know what? First up, let me cover Mike's comment here. Mike H says, "Y'all are fat too, though." Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we're overweight. There's no doubt.
We're not hiding it.
But we don't play soccer anymore, so.
That whole second half was stupid. The concept of going to the 5-3-1 or whatever it was beyond stupid. And I know people came back after that game and said, well, just look at the stats. And in the second half, and there are more expected goals for the U.S. than there were for Panama. I'm like, yeah, because all Panama did was take it down, lob cross after cross after cross. More of those crosses are going to be gotten by our defenders. It only takes one. And it did only take one.
And I know what Gregg was thinking he was doing. He was going to play 3 in the back. So, Scally and Jedi could, provide all offense.
They flubbed that up then, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, because we ended up playing a lot of just sitting back.
It was a flat 5 is what it was. It was a flat 5 for like 90% of that second half.
Yep. It just turned into a flat 5. And that's just one thing. This is when one of the coaches said this today. when they were reviewing what Berhalter did in that game. Or who was it? Was it Charlie Davies? It was on Galazzo. Somebody said it. They said, if you've played the game before and you go down a player, the one thing you never want to do is be, outnumbered in the midfield.
Give up that midfield, yeah.
Yep. You never want it. So the 4-4-1, while not looking great, I mean, it looked like it could have been stable enough to keep the 1-1. And remember, when we were in the 4-4-1, we scored a goal. So, Moise Criscello King Kello. I hope I got that right. For $1.99.
Totally letting you do that one.
My blue balls were released after Gregg fired. Oh God.
Freedom.
Splatter. All right. Hey man, whatever.
That's the thing with the podcast would never see the hand motion there when you said splatter. So now they can imagine it though, because I put it in their mind.
Whatever gets you through the night is what I'm saying. Although I don't know if you were doing some sort of protest where you weren't going to spank it until Gregg was fired. So yeah, I mean, you did have to wait 11 days. That's a long time. Johnny, A.K. Larry, for $2. Maloney will take Adams and Luca de la Torre's cheeks.
It's with the new manager coming in.
I don't know what that means.
Do you think? Well, basically the same thing in their ass.
Oh, okay. He could say ass, couldn't he?
He could. Okay. You know what? The funny thing is, the super chatting Tack and Pete yesterday. I came to the realization how difficult it is to make your point on 50 characters. Because at $2 or $1.99 or anything like that, it's like 50 characters, and I'm like, I start typing on my phone. I'm like, shit, that's way too many characters. How can I shorten this?
It's not only.
I mean, I sounded drunk while typing it because.
Well, you probably were
a little bit. You have to kind of skip certain words.
You know what's what's also tough sometimes, and this isn't with just super chat, but like say commenting when somebody's doing a coverage of a live, like when Pete does his live game coverage, it's like he's watching the game, and so I type something to him, and he would be watching the game, and then it would go off the screen, and then he'd look down at the comments. It's like you missed it again. You missed it again. You missed me again. But it's funny. We worked it out, and I ended up popping on the show, so that was great. We looked threatening in a 4.
Too close. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
We looked threatening in a 4-4-1. I thought that it was better.
Why did we change it?
I don't know. It was a weak sauce, is what I would call it. Weak sauce halftime move. You just never are allowed ever. And we said this live while covering the game live. Why did we just move to a 5-3-1? Now the midfield is overwhelmed. You got 3 guys running their asses off all over the pitch trying to cover like a shitload of ground in the midfield. I get it. You could make an argument, well, there's this reason and that reason, and maybe he was trying to do this or that, but it just didn't work out, did it? So now he doesn't have a job.
Well, and everybody knows my thought process as far as parking the bus is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wasn't planning on parking the bus, but that's what ended up looking like lots of that half. Well, and yeah,
it's just so I don't know. I'm looking. We didn't need to make the change at all, quite frankly.
Nope.
And we talked about this. We didn't make the change. Only thing we lost was some offensive pressure. We still had our game plan defense lined up. Nothing changed in the midfield. We just lost a winger, so you just go to a 2-striker pattern and go from there. But or go to the 4-4-1, whatever. It doesn't matter.
The assumption that you go 3 in the back and that Scally's going to provide you offense somewhere. It'll be rare and a snowball's chance in hell of that happening on any regular basis whatsoever.
Maybe it's that we don't expect Scally to really offer much into the attack, but he offered more in the attack in Copa than he did any of his previous games, which isn't much, but it was still something.
Or at Gladbach in general.
Fair enough.
Jesse Negron for $4.99. GGG started this lineup versus Honduras. 6 defenders. Pulisic, Pepe, Sargent, Sands, Acosta, Bello, McKenzie, Brooks, Robinson, and Adams.
Well, it was Acosta and Sands in front of our top four, or back four, I mean.
This is the one that we lost in Honduras.
No. We ended up winning 4-1 because we put Pepe in, and Pepe started the charge. Actually, Jedi technically started it.
This is when Brooks was yanked.
Yeah.
At halftime. Yeah, and we're not covering that story again.
Again.
Are you allowed to say PFOC is better than Pepe? I mean, you're allowed to have that opinion. I don't see why not. Did Pepe ever play and make a dent in the Bundesliga? No. And, PFOC, before getting injured 1,000 times, was doing pretty good in the Bundesliga his first season with Union Berlin. And then it all went to hell in a handbasket since.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could remove those knocks from his season, he probably would have kept up some level of consistency. But, going out a couple weeks and then coming back.
Yeah.
And then a couple games, then going out a couple weeks and then coming back, that affects your consistency.
That didn't help at Gladbacher either, because the same goddamn thing happened. By the way, for the 470-ish people that are here, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandmother and your stepsister. And cheers to all of you and all the hard work you did out there, getting this message across to the FA and the board. Right, the board had to also take this in consideration because apparently at first Matt Crocker was his proclivity was to keep the process going, right? And it took outside pressure, and we'll read about that in Leander's article, and we'll hear about it more from more mainstream media guys as well out there, because they're working on articles now. If they haven't already written them, it's hard keeping up with all the articles right now because they're coming out. Everybody's trying to make, get their hits right now while the burner's hot, right? So, all right, what else you got, Brent?
With all the Copa and the Euro talk that's going around, I think a lot of us forgot all about US Open Cup. We covered a lot of it at the beginning of the US Open Cup.
Nobody noticed I shaved my beard off, huh?
Kind of looks like you still have. I didn't even notice, Derek. It kind of looked like you still have your gray beard there because you didn't get any sun at that point. You need to go outside and sun up some.
No, it's just a 5 o'clock. My 5 o'clock shadow is more like I get a 5 o'clock shadow at noon. Let's put it that way. At noon. At noon. Righty. Like I can grow a full beard in 2 days. 2.5 days. Just bam. Shit goes crazy. It happens when you get older, you're just hairier. Older equals
tan
hairier.
lines on his beard.
They're really not.
It looks it though. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just the gray hair is coming back in.
I haven't been outside for 2 days.
There you go. That's why you got that ghostly appearance right now.
I mean, once I heard the news was coming out, right?
Yeah.
I took time off. I'm like, I am going to be.
Just stared at your phone waiting for.
I'm going to be there when this announcement happens.
Yeah.
And it turns out I could have waited. I mean.
You could have slept like a normal person.
I mean, I could have done normal life things. It's okay. I have time off, so it's all good to me. All right.
All right. So back to my point is that we all forgot about U.S. Open Cup there, it seems like.
Well,
so
you and I did not miss this because our team that we are partially responsible for starting here in Indianapolis, Indy 11, original president, original vice president of the Brickyard Battalion, beat up on Atlanta. Hell yes. Dun, 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 dun. Now, we might not have a team next year, right?
No, we might not have in the 11 next year is what you're saying.
Right. Because as we announced here earlier, that it was Herb Simon, Todd Bowley. No, wait. I think it was Todd Bowley.
Yeah, he's on. Tom.
Mark Walters.
Yeah.
Jose Feliciano. They had Iqbali, and this is all under Simon and Clear Lake Capital. They're going to start an MLS team here in Indianapolis.
Did you say Craig Walters?
No, Mark Walters.
Mark, okay.
And we all know who Craig Walters is anyhow. And he retired his ex-page.
Yeah.
Craig Walters. He's
Greg's no longer there, so why would you even need one?
You don't need one because there's no Greg to defend anymore. Right? And that was the whole point of that fake ass account.
I went right up there with all of the Civil War accounts that all the players, like General Adams or whatever. I can't think of what their actual names are. General Tyler Adams or whatever. But
he's not a Civil War guy. All right. Anyhow, go ahead.
No. My point is that they would have a Civil War account where they would talk about. They'd write papers home, like letters home, talking about their life with U.S. Soccer.
Yeah.
Do you not remember any of these?
No.
Oh my God, these were great. The American Revolution, yeah, it's possible that could have been it. Not Civil War, yeah.
I have a book that's about a mile.
They're phenomenal. They're accounts where they took Tyler Adams' face and put it on like an old general's body or whatever from the American Revolution, and they would just post nonstop like they were like writing letters home back to their wives or whatever, I
just got on X not that long ago.
We had them on our channel. We showed them on our channel.
I have a great book here called 1776.
Matt Turner was a big one. Yes, Matt Turner was a big one.
I have a book here called 1776 if you want to read it.
Matt Turner's for both.
It's about a mile long. All right. Okay. No,
regardless, doesn't matter. You just gave somebody. We all just gave somebody a bingo tally there. Whole history, pointless history.
469 in the chat around. Yeah. So thumbs up there. As Tack would say, nice. All right. We've got.
The only reason I want to bring this up right now is obviously Indy 11's going on to the semis at this point after beating up on Atlanta. Thank you, Dax McCarty. You continue to serve the good by getting that own goal.
Yeah.
And they are now the only non-MLS team in the semis.
Who would have thought? Really? I didn't expect it.
Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's go.
Let's win it all. Let's go into 11. Let's go out with a bang before Herb Simon starts. What do we call them? It's going to be Pacers FC. All right. What else we got?
We're going to move on to our next one of our favorite segments, at least. Here.
Do not panic. Do not panic. Cap them now. Cap them now. All right.
It's been a minute.
US 19 international Noah Banks. I believe he just goes by Noah. I don't think he goes by Noah K, but that's fine. By the way, if you're interested, you could check out American Ultras Talk. They have a show that's fairly new. It's pretty good. It's definitely well-intentioned, and they do their best for guys that are probably not even in college yet. I'm guessing. It's hard now, as old as I am, to tell how young people are, but they're young guys. But it's nice to see young guys who try to dig deep. You know what I mean? Try to dig deep on the topics.
I would say, nice.
Right. I didn't say anything bad. All right. Dual Not Panic. Noah Banks has signed his first professional contract with FC Augsburg. As a result, he will be with the first team in preseason and will miss the CONCACAF U20 Championship, which is becoming a theme for our European-based players. Yeah, we did mention, by the way, that was probably going to be more than likely. Not that U.S. Soccer was digging deep into all the American kids abroad who are playing with U20 teams in Germany. Those players, for whatever reason, I think we had, what's his face from Greuther Fürth, and that's just about it, right? But there are a lot of other young players in Europe who are dual nats or just plain old American playing for 2 teams and U20 teams. That
is Dietz U20? Is that
no,
what you're talking about?
Dietz is going to play for the Olympics.
Yeah, but okay, they said that the
no, he's on the big boy Firth team.
Okay, so we're talking about a U2 team in Firth.
I was just saying that there are a lot of other Americans in Germany right now, for example, who play for 2 teams in the 2 Bundesliga, some in the 3 Bundesliga, some in Bundesliga. No, I'm not. If you're a 2 team, you're obviously not in Bundesliga. But the point being, there are others that nobody ever talks about. They never make any teams, etc. They certainly weren't picked for the Olympic team, except for Dietz, Maximilian Dietz. And then the rest of them were turned down. We wanted Pukstas. They said, go screw yourself. So we got some of them. Griffin Yao, for instance. Booth. I'm really surprised they let us have Booth for the Olympics. Honestly, with as many injuries.
Kind of honest. Yeah, exactly. I'm really surprised by that.
I mean, if I'm Utrecht, I'm like, no, this dude gets injured all the time. No, we're not letting you have him for the Olympics.
He's coming to every one of our practice wrapped in bubble wrap, guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was surprising we did get some of the ones we did get. I can see Aronson, Paxton, because he does not have an injury history at all to speak of. So I'm sure that Utrecht was comfortable with that. But now, if you're Utrecht, 2 of your potentially best players on your team are going to miss preseason or a chunk of time at the Olympics. So, but hey, I like that Utrecht, let that happen. Dual nat panic, as in do not panic. That's clever. Yeah, I mean, if that's your first time seeing it.
Godcon, it's been a minute and a half, man. I haven't seen you in the chat in a while.
Yeah, I know. By the way, there's like 0% chance. And by the way, American Ultra said it's not really panic, right? Because it's not. There's just a very small.
That was about a different kid. That was about a different kid, I believe.
I believe so.
Correctly.
But this one's not really dual nat panic. It's just what we do on the show.
Yeah.
But the chances that Noah ever plays for Germany are pretty small. And right now, I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to ever make our team. So there you go. All right. Moises Criskello Kingkello for $1.99 again. Thank you, brother. Woke up with diarrhea last night. Partying was crazy. Oh, well.
Hopefully you made it.
There's stuff spewing out of you all over the place, I guess, with your blue balls and then the diarrhea. I mean, you got fluids just splashing everywhere. I hope you got better. Stratman for $4.99. Cheers, boys. No longer engaged to stepsister. Oh, so sorry to hear that. Now engaged to
hopefully wasn't pressured by the family.
Yeah, right. Now engaged to her younger, hotter sister, but she's not your stepsister. She technically would still be.
Not to that stepsister.
Okay. Because technically, your stepsister's sister would still be your stepsister.
Yeah. No, true.
Okay. We'll continue to follow your advice. Thanks for all you do. We appreciate it, Stratman. And I don't know when you're going to get that band going, but you need to with a name like Stratman. Okay. What else we got?
I'm on it right now, man.
Okay, hold on. I didn't see it switch.
Yeah.
Marvin Dills and Alexander Staff have become named to the Eintracht Frankfurt U19 team for the upcoming season. Staff is the second youngest player in the squad and 16 years old. And he can already grow a beard. So
I'm assuming the 9 means he's a striker.
Usually. right?
Well, I would imagine that's what that 9 and that 8 are for, right?
Right. No, I would
indicating positions. Imagine.
Yeah, I mean they're just a load of dual nats overseas, guys. It's absolutely nutso city, and I imagine probably these two kids had American dads and who were stationed on some sort of army base there in Germany. And they knocked up some chicks, and then you get this, which is it's not a bad thing. We should have more army bases in Brazil. That would have been a good idea.
I know.
Should have had a few army bases in Argentina. That would have been a smart move. If
only the U.S. military was really thinking about U.S. soccer at the same time, right?
Right. And when I say that, I kid. Of course, I'm kidding. I don't think we need a military base in every country, although we're pretty close to already doing that already. Even though I'm an army brat, I don't think that's necessary. All right. What's next?
Gotta learn just before you blow, Derek, to press that little mute button.
Oh, I can't, man. I'm just going through bad allergies right now.
We need to come up with a safe word where you're like hippopotamus, and then I'll mute you for you. How about that?
Hippopotamus, yeah. We should have a safe word I can use.
Exactly. It's not just for sex. Anyways, let's move on to the not final topic, but let's move on to one of our final fluff topics.
Okay.
Transfer news, transfer news. Who's getting mounted on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news but me. Whatever.
All righty. So Nottingham Forest, we are delighted to announce the signing of Brazilian goalkeeper Carlos Miguel. Oh, Matt, it's getting worse, Matt. So now you got cells in
you loan down now, bro. Start talking to your man, or start talking to your agent. Hey,
what?
Push a loan now.
What is on that guy's face?
It's just a graphic.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a tattoo of a bridge on his head.
Yeah. Huh.
It looks like a derrick. You know what a derrick is? It digs oil, pumps oil.
Huh.
Yeah.
It looks like you're right. It does look like oil. You're right.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a derrick.
That's called a
tattoo.
derrick?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, derricks they have these long rods that go into the ground, right? It's a long rod. Sound familiar?
Hey.
All right, Anthony Marzano, MOB. Brett and Derek, do you think the Federation is going to give full power to the new coach to basically overhaul the development system on the youth national team side? Depends on who it is and how much responsibility they want.
No.
But no, generally.
I'm thinking they're going to continue. If they break the bank and go for a big name, I think they're just doing that for the 2 years, but they're still going to steamroll the system that they've been pushing. I don't think anything's going to change here.
No, I agree with that. I mean, if you get a big name, let's say you got, all right, this is just, it's not going to happen because Klopp already said no, but that doesn't mean you can't keep asking. But if you get Klopp, he's just going to want to come in for 2 years. That's it, or less. And that's all he'll want to deal. He won't be wanting all these meetings about youth development and, planning for the future a decade away. He'll probably just want to come in and coach a year and a half and be gone.
Yeah. I mean, let's assume he even wants to stick around for the next cycle. Why would he even care about as far as the developments in our as far as our overall organization? Why would he even care about that? He's not going to stick around. He's not. I mean, there'd be no plan for sticking around for like multiple cycles at that point. I mean, why would he even care?
So the only other difference would be is if you hire somebody like Dolo, right, who's going to want more of a long-term vision for the club and plan. And he'll be a guy who'll want to sign a long-term contract if he can get away with it. He doesn't want to just go there for 2 years. He'll want to go be there for 4 years or whatever it is. It's just going to be depending on the person. And then, the question will be whether or not they were forced Dolo to play using the basic tenets and system that all the other teams use in our system. All the youth teams, all the women's teams. I mean, is he going to be forced to play a 4-3-3? Because we didn't get to see a lot of 4-2-3-1 or other formations. It's very rare. Occasionally from Gregg, a couple times after he came back, we got to see a 4-2-3-1, an honest to goodness one. We got to see a 4-4-2 briefly. But for the most part, it was
like the
Gregg's
second half of a game that they were going to lose that they need to win. Sure.
Yeah. Basically, it's been the standard 4-3-3, and it is a little boring. And I'd like to see somebody, whoever it is brought in, have the freedom to just look at the players and say, what sort of formation and setup would be best for the players that I have rather than the other way around.
All right, hold on. You basically worded this word for word, or broke this down. Let me find the quote real quick. I wanted to bring this up later.
Okay.
It works so well with basically what you just said.
Yeah, you need to blow that up a little.
Hold on one second. Let me take this off and let me go ahead and handle the super chat real quick.
Leverdad for $4.99. Thanks, brother. We appreciate it. Best thing about Berhalter being fired is the protective shield on the players is removed. Absolutely. They were way too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Time to prove they're a golden generation, not folding generation. Yeah, I mean, if you really want this to turn into something special going forward, they're going to need somebody who pushes them and pushes hard and holds them accountable in the locker room. You know, not just because they got a red card and you want to make Des look like an idiot, which is fine. He was an idiot. But, I mean, when you don't play well. And don't joystick this team. Don't joystick this team.
Well, I've said this when Berhalter was running the team. I said this from the get-go. When it came down to Dest's red card, multiple red cards first off, not just one, but multiple red cards. And then in this situation with Weah's red card is, if I was coach, I would absolutely say, hey, you've just lost your spot. You're going to have to earn it back, which means the next couple of games, somebody's going to start over top of them. And then when they come in the second half as a sub, if they don't perform well enough, then they're going to continue acting as a sub. You can't just have this non-punishment. Like, again, Des did a very stupid thing that almost screwed us royal in the Nations League. What happened to him? He missed that one game that he got penalized for, and then he immediately started for the finals in the same fucking tournament.
And again, I'm just going to add this. I know Des got the red card, but we can't beat Trinidad and Tobago with 10 players.
Whole different topic, but I 100% agree with you, yes.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But, yeah, obviously we went on to lose that game.
Oof.
And, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, we just watched Colombia beat Uruguay with 10 guys.
Yeah.
It's doable, people. It really is.
What?
And it was Colombia beating Uruguay.
Yeah.
It's not U.S. trying to beat Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, what is it with us in Trinidad and Tobago? We did preseason in Poland, and in our first friendly, we played a 4-3-3. After the match, I knew we wouldn't play like that. Who's this a quote from?
I know I got rid of the tweet for it, so I don't know now.
Oh, well, fuck.
But I only won this up because of the message it sends. And I had this in the location because I was going to talk about how when we're looking for a new coach, we need to have coming up here when you read this full quote.
Sure, I get it. But is this the U.S. soccer we're talking about here?
No. This is some random coach in Europe. I don't know who it was.
Was it Herford?
No.
I don't know who it was. All right. We did preseason in Poland. In our first friendly, we played a 4-3-3. After that match, I knew we couldn't play like that. We hadn't managed to recruit anybody to play as the 6 in front of the defense, so we changed the system to play with a double pivot. This is the great challenge for a coach, to understand that what you want must also go hand in hand with the players you have. As a coach, I am clear about what I want, but if I can't do it, I need to adapt. Well, we didn't see a whole lot of adapting.
But that I had this lined up for the whole next who's going to be the next coach topic, and I'm like, this is the mentality you need to have.
Yes.
Hey, Berhalter could have came in and said, hey, I want to play this 4-3-3 with this high press, et cetera, et cetera. And you come out a couple windows and you'd be like, well, this isn't going to clearly work. We need to kind of adapt it. Let's go to a 4-2-3-1. How about that? And we saw that later on to an extent, but then we kind of reverted and things changed in the sense that you don't even have in your 4-2-3-1, you don't have your center midfielder that's going to be the creative option, which is Reina in this situation, in the creative role. You have him sitting back further to do X, Y, and Z. You may have a reason for that, but it's not the right reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're playing him as a regista because you want him to touch the ball as much as possible. But I really don't think that Reina is Pirlo. So I just don't think that's going to work out real well.
Mm-hmm. So,
and yeah, I mean, we wanted him in a more advanced position. I still don't know why that guy's got a Derek on his tattooed on his face. I don't get that. Not sure how reliable the source is, but this account is saying that Turkish Super League, Gaziantep, FK have reached an agreement with Conrad de la Fuente and Marseille over a transfer. Gaziantep finished 11th last season. Yeah, they're not a very good team. But you know what? He just played at Eibar, and they're a second division team in Spain, and he barely played on that.
Didn't play much at all, yeah.
I wouldn't make any assumption that he goes to Turkey and plays either. Because
but it's nice that he at least got bought out by somebody new, and he's not just getting loaned out again. This is
well, he says it's not a reliable source. So.
True. Yes, assuming it's accurate. I'm not saying that it is accurate. I'm saying assuming it's accurate. It's nice in the sense that somebody actually went out and is buying him out.
It does seem that he's got no future at Marseille.
Oh, 100% no future.
Right. It doesn't look
There's no chance.
I mean, Marseille are traditionally one of the best teams in France. They had high hopes when they bought him. Those high hopes lasted like 4 months. That's it. And then he was gone. And then he went to Greece where he never played. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's not good. We'll see if he can turn it around. He scored a handful of goals at the very, very end of the season, but that was it.
Yeah.
This is Leander.
This is Leander's. All right.
God.
Go for it. Go for it, Derek.
Trying to remember last time I mean, it was like Facebook, maybe like 13 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't remember. Leander Schlenkens. Sorry, Leander. I really never really understood how to pronounce your last name. Sherlenkens, I think.
It's like 40. It's like 47 E's and 12 A's.
I mean, it's either Dutch or German, so I should know how to pronounce it. Or, I mean, it could actually be Belgian too. At least I know he's an American. But all right, in firing Gregg Berhalter, the U.S. Sherlackens. Okay, I definitely wouldn't have pronounced it like that. In firing Gregg Berhalter, the U.S. men's national team chose vibes over process. I kind of get what he's saying here, but a year ago, U.S. Soccer rehired Berhalter after he cleared a meticulous recruitment process. Oh my God!
Which we'll go over. Thank you, Leander, for finding this and posting it.
Yeah,
but we got the categories that you have to break down, and Crocker did end up going on to saying like, I feel like I have a better understanding of what we need from a coach, and it's not going to be as long of a process.
Good, because they borrowed all these processes. Well, they paid for them, these processes, from Sportsology, and God, he must be looking back at that and going, "No coach worth his salt will ever take these tests.
Mm-hmm.
Never." Process defined by data and psychological testing. Now he's out of a job largely due to fan sentiment. Well, thank you for giving us all credit. We appreciate that. If the U.S. men's national team is to be successful, it can't make decisions based on both.
So either data or fan sentiment is what he's saying?
No, process or vibes.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yes, process and vibes, those are two different things. The process is the data and psychological testing, and the vibes are the fans. So you can either go off of the data or you can be based off of fans' gut feeling, if you will.
No, because I mean maybe, but the process is different from the testing, and the data in the testing. The process,
psychological testing is trying to figure out who's going to be the best for the process. I mean, you're basically figuring out who's going to be.
Well, the headline is basically saying that they had this process because Gregg talked about it constantly.
Yes.
There was a step-by-step process to get to 2026. And I'm sorry, but if that's all you've got in that thick skull of yours, instead of thinking one game at a time, and I've got a tournament here called Copa America, the process. I'm taking each game one game at a time. That's what I'm focused on. This whole step-by-step process towards 2026. Man, fuck you. Just go out and win every game. Focus on the game ahead of you. There is no process. You got a team. You got the players. You know who they are. Set them up to win and win the fucking game. I don't want to hear about your 2026 10-step process till 2026 and changing the way Americans view American soccer. I don't want to hear any of that shit. In fact, if I ever hear that again from another coach, I'm going to I'm just puking everywhere. I don't want to ever hear, and this is a great thing that Miola said too. He's like, you know what? Just about every national team I was on had a great culture. We didn't run around jerking off, talking about it constantly.
Where are you going to go and eat dinner? But you don't talk about that, yeah.
And all these players, 80% of them already knew each other. They played the youth systems together. It's like, it's really unbelievable that, Berhalter's out there claiming all this culture he did.
Yeah.
Like, I built this culture, and then the players go out and they repeat it.
Yeah.
These kids would have loved each other regardless, because most of them knew each other for a long time. So taking credit for that and then talking about it every time there's a press conference, it just gets so old. I don't want to hear it anymore. I really don't want to ever hear that again. Focus on the game. That's what I want you to do. If you got a great culture, jolly great. Sing Kumbaya and do your circle jerks, but do them in private and keep it to yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
All right,
so the title itself basically just states that the U.S. men's national team soccer ended up choosing the fans over their established process. And their established process is, this is how we want to play from the seniors all the way down to the U2s, and we got to find a coach.
That sounds more like system than process.
You say potato.
No, process is different because they constantly talk about the step-by-step process towards 2026. The system is how they run it. To me, those are totally separate things.
Well, I don't think that's what he's referring to here.
Okay, well.
You may go for the semantic route, and maybe Lander's not a former teacher who has an English degree. I don't know.
I mean, they're different words. They mean different things.
That's fair.
Yep.
But it could be he could be meaning him in the same use there. So regardless, they chose fans over what they had planned out. Is basically what he's saying. And the process in this situation includes the data and psychological testing in order to find a coach that's going to play the system that they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that was. Breaking down the article, obviously, we're going to do our typical thing where we just have screen caps here.
Okay. He rebuilt this is the shit I hate.
I pulled it up, right?
He rebuilt a broken culture in the wake of the disastrous 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign and created an uncommon cohesion in a young team he constructed it entirely from the ground up. If I remember correctly, it was Dave Saracen who started that process.
Yep.
While we waited for Gregg to get off his Columbus ass and take the team over. Yep. All right? So David already brought in all the young guys.
To some extent, yeah.
Who already knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
And had been friends since they were kids. So, I mean, come on, man, with this culture shit. I'm so sick of this word.
That's you hit the nail on the head where I hated this aspect. He rebuilt the broken culture. what culture? Are we talking about the players' culture? Or are we talking about soccer culture in the U.S.? Because the culture itself wasn't broken.
No, he's talking about the team, and
a broken team.
It's a broken team. The team's culture wasn't broken. Like it's not like
Bruce
Arena took over the team and broke the team's culture. They lost. That's just bad play. It's a bad team. I don't think you listen to Dempsey talk about some of that time, and a lot of those players, I mean, as most teams do, they congeal. They know each other, so it's not like I've never heard anything about a bad culture from that team. They just played bad. Well,
they're all old, broken. That's what was broken, right?
Exactly.
The players themselves were broken,
right?
So there was no handing over the baton to the next generation at that point. It was an older squad that got beat, and it was disastrous. Yes.
Oh yeah, an older squad with one 17, 18-year-old on it
with Ballistic, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean,
and Yedlin, I guess, but Yedlin was probably a little older, I guess. But Yedlin was from 2014. Never mind, I take that back completely.
Yeah, I mean, Yedlin was part of that black hole generation of Breck Shea.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of tore me there because I was like, wait a second, soccer culture wasn't a problem. Maybe it was the players, I guess, is what he's kind of alluding to there.
I guess.
But then the cohesion and young team constructed almost entirely from the ground up. Well, again, as you brought this up earlier, there were two different sets of youth teams in the team that we have now, right? There's two different cycles there of the U20s, U17s, and stuff like that. Most of those players have played with a handful of them already. And you have basically just two cycles, one following the other, back to back. All of a sudden, they construct 90% of the team. Of course, there's going to be cohesion at that point.
Right.
They all played.
I mean, all right, so there was lots of youngsters that Saracen had already started playing before, Gregg finally left Columbus and took the job full time. And then, let's not kid ourselves, Berhalter still called up Leggett, Roldan, Morris, Acosta, Long. It's not like he started with players that nobody had ever heard of before. He still relied on more of the veteran MLS players for a good little while. It wasn't,
first couple of years.
Yeah. So, this idea that he all of a sudden just were playing a bunch of teenagers just isn't true.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not even true. He won the CONCACAF Nations League twice, which was nice, against the worst Mexican team of our generation. Well, his assistant, BJ, following Berhalter's playbook, not to a T.
Wait a second. That's made that right there is the only reason why I brought this. The rest of it is all the chart in the background.
Right.
But BJ won one following Berhalter's playbook. Did he really, though?
No.
I mean, did he really play the same game style that Berhalter played?
This is totally, somebody said, disrespectful to BJ, and it absolutely is. He definitely gave the players more freedom, as did Hudson. Yeah. I think a lot of the players, well, we know who the players that Pepe said so.
Gio was happy enough. See, he finally got played in a position that succeeds.
Scally mentioned it. It's not like, and by the way, there aren't players that don't like Gregg. So this whole culture thing's a lot of shit. And I think that it's someday we'll be able to say exactly who, but we know who two of them are for sure. Because when Gregg's firing was announced on Instagram, they both immediately liked the firing announcement. And that was Reyna and Scally on Instagram, liking it.
Yeah.
I don't have Instagram. Somebody just sent it to me. All right. And I appreciate all of you that send me shit in my DMs when I don't have Instagram, but you're like, or you post it and you at me on Twitter, which is probably a little better because then everybody else can see it too, which is cool. I mean, if it's good information, everybody else should see it as well. And the Federation will have the budget to spend on a first-rate manager who may cost multiple of the roughly $2 million plus bonuses that Berhalter was making. Not if it's Dolo. It'll probably be about the same, roughly the same number.
But this was a quote taken out of the phone call with Crocker, apparently, that they're looking at bringing in a manager that may end up costing multiples of the $2 million that Berhalter.
Crocker said it's not an obstacle. Money.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point it is. You're not going to pay somebody $20 million a year. That's not happening. But Moises Chris Kello again. Thank you, brothers. I could just call him King Kello. That's easier.
King Kello, how about King Kello? Yeah.
Yeah. For $1.99. Thank you again. Stepsister's friend hooked me up with a packet of
poo.
Oh my God. A packet? Do they come in packets? I didn't know those came in packets.
I just like how he had to censor it, but then add like the yin sound or yin symbol there.
Yeah. We know what you're saying, buddy. And by the way, it does have 2 S's in it. All right. I'm sure you knew that. You just,
ran out of characters, probably.
Yeah, probably. Thin Blue Line for $4.99 says, I think Cherundolo talked about the U.S. job after his game yesterday. Not certain. Love the content, guys. U.S. Soccer thinks fans are basement dwellers. Actually, not just the fans. Some of the people who covered the game thinks we're a lot of us are mouth breathers and basement dwellers, and we don't know anybody at U.S. who's ever been attached to U.S. Soccer. We've never interviewed Tony Meola and John O'Brien, and we gave you the list last show of everybody that's been on our show, including Stephen Goff and Brian Schroeder. Grant Wall, more recently, Meg Swanick. We like to have Meg on because you guys all know I'm a huge fan of Meg. That joke is still funny. Yes. I think I had a crush on Meg, or somebody said that last show. It's true because, you think about it. And Meg is married, by the way, so that ain't happening. And I'm old. Like I'm like twice her age. So let's be real, folks. But when I look back in time, it would have been so nice if my ex-wife would have liked soccer. Can you imagine marrying a chick who loved soccer as much as you did and loved the U.S. national team? That'd be rarity. It's rare, but it would be so badass.
It's definitely be rare, yeah.
So you could share the passion of the game, because it's always like we're doing a show back in 2011, 2012 on Big Soccer, and first, I had to watch the game, which she was not interested in. Then I had to go talk the game, which she was not interested in. The ski, $10. We appreciate the ski. You're absolute legends. Drank too much whiskey last night. Taking it easy with a fine Belgian double. Oh my God. I had to quit drinking those. It was making me so fat, but I used to drink them almost every night on this show. A Belgian triple or a double or a quad. Quads were my favorite. Let me know what brand you're drinking.
I was going to say, having one beer is not going to make you fat.
Yes. Those are the most fattening beers you can drink, the quads. And those are my favorite, unfortunately.
There's
sugar content's really high on those.
There's a beer diet out there you can partake in if you want to lose weight. You heard about this? I think we talked about this many a year ago.
I'm not drinking those beers.
It's like literally drinking a loaf of bread is what it feels. I'm guessing it feels like.
Yeah.
Apparently the diet is that you drink 2 beers a day, but you get all of the nutrients needed to sustain yourself through those beers.
That's it? You just drink 2 beers a day?
Beers a day, and that's it.
Because, I used to get the big, tall ones. They look like they're in champagne glasses. Or bottles, like one bottle like that, it'll take your ass out because the quads are like at 12-13%, some of them, so it'll just screw you up. It's like drinking a whole bottle of wine while we're doing the show, right? And I didn't stick around to the end of Pete and Tack's show. I wish I would have. Does anybody know if they got really fucked up? I want to know.
Well, they're saying their standards were getting fucked up so high, man. They're like, yeah, for every 1,000 likes, we'll take a shot.
I'm surprised they didn't have you come on. That's all right. They were celebrating. Let them do it.
They do their thing.
We love those guys. By the way, if you don't watch 11 Yanks or Tactical Manager, we've known them for quite a good time. They're good dudes. Seriously good dudes. I know you just know the show dudes, right? The guys that you watch. But behind the scenes, they are just great guys. Period. End of story. There's no way to put it. And I'm glad that we know them. And I know we disagree with them sometimes. So what? Who cares? They're good guys. Mm-hmm. We're not going to agree with them on everything. That would be so weird, right? That would totally make us jabronis. Jabronis. That would make us the jabronis we were called by Jake. All right, I didn't want to use his name tonight. I probably should have said
the
that.
ski for $2 is Straight to Ale out of Huntsville, Alabama, 8%.
Oh, domestic. A domestic double. Wow. I have never had that one.
You were doing Taxman, weren't you?
I did. I had done some Taxman. Yep.
Taxman's some good shit, man.
I mean, it was better than buying like the Westmalle. Like I had to order a couple of the ones that I got from Belgium itself. And the beers would typically just cost like $15 a bottle, but along with shipping and all that shit, it ended up being like $30 a bottle. It was crazy time.
There's the Taxman in Portville, which is just east of Geist, basically.
I didn't know they opened a new one, huh?
It's been there for a couple of years.
Because it's the original one's just south of Indy, right?
Yes,
I believe so. It's a bar. It's a bar / brewery, but
it's over by the Greenwood area, I think, if I recall correctly.
If you're a fan of Belgian beers, and I don't know if they're national yet, Taxman, their quad is really good and their double's really good. Now the only problem is when they make one of their special ones, like they had a special quad brewed with vanilla beans or whatever, that was so great. But after the winter was over, you couldn't find it anymore. It was gone. You're like, come on, man. You got to keep making that. That's good shit. All right. Sorry. Let's see.
We talked about this already, basically saying that Crocker said that the next coach might cost multiple of what Gregg cost.
The next coach. We hope.
Doesn't mean that it'll happen. It could just be fan service here, saying, "Hey, you know what? The next coach might cost more than that $2 million that Gregg was making."
Well, the real problem here is that Herb Renard has already been apparently behind the scenes offered another deal by Saudi Arabia
and Nigeria. Oh, is it Nigeria? I think
it doesn't matter.
I've got it pulled up. We'll go over here.
It doesn't really matter. Nigeria can't compete against us money wise.
They talk about how both of them are only offering like $2 million.
But if the Saudis want to compete with us for him, they can definitely kick in some money.
I don't know if it's Nigeria, man. They've probably swindled a number of U.S. People with that email. Nigerian prince, send me your social security number.
No, that ain't happening. No, I think the problem is if we get in a bidding war with Saudi Arabia, like that's not going to be good because they'll do $4 million and then we'll do 5. No go. How about we do 8? And then we're like, well, we'll do 9. They'll be like, fuck you, dude.
It's Egypt and then Nigeria, as Gio mentioned.
Egypt and Nigeria.
He was already at Saudi Arabia is the issue in the World Cup.
Correct. I don't think that Egypt or Nigeria could outbid us.
Yeah, so both offers are around $2 million.
I think we'll be fine, but it's Saudi Arabia that we got to worry about. If rumors are true that Saudi Arabia want to back, they're not really rumors. People reported on it. I don't know if they're right or not is the question. Jeff Gary for $9.99. Guys, congratulations. Pete and Tack really like you. They didn't really get drunk. Oh, man. Damn.
I'm just happy that Tack Park took.
Me too, because he's not
he had some really garbage tequila, though, man.
I think that's all he had in the house, though.
That and wine, he said, yeah.
Yeah, Tack did a watch along last night. Anyways, thanks for your good work. We appreciate that, Jeff. It's been, all of us together, everybody here that's watching, everybody on Twitter, like tweeting constantly and adding the sponsors and @GT Batson and I'm sure that JT and City Cone are like, thank God. Now they may be able to leave us alone just give us a breathing period here and let Matt Crocker go do his recruiting, and let's see what happens here. But I do have to warn them. I do not think Cherundolo is going to make anybody happy. Is Cherundolo better than Berhalter? Yes. How much better? I don't know. It's an improvement, probably.
I'll sit there and say US took the easy route and the cheap route, but I'll give Dolo his chance.
If it happens, I'm going to give Dolo a chance.
Yeah.
But Dolo's not one of those guys that holds you like your ass to the fire. And that's the kind of guy we need right now. Hell, I mean, I don't like the way Mourinho sets up all the time with the teams he runs. But I know one thing, he ain't putting up with any shit whatsoever. A guy like Jose Mourinho. And Herb Renard ain't putting up with any shit. He'd be up in your grill.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be right up in your grill if you're fucking up and not giving 100% or doing something stupid. He'll yank your ass right off the field.
Yeah. I guess my issue overall with Dolo is just the inexperience of it all. He's only been a manager for a couple of years now.
I went back through a lot of the articles, LAFC articles about him. Players really like him a lot. He's not really an enforcer, and that's kind of what we really need. Not that he can't become one. You know, they always said when I was teaching, don't start out as your first class teaching as a nice guy, because then you're setting the bad. They're gonna walk all over you. Start out like a jerk and an asshole and disciplinarian and have really high standards, and then when it's warranted, you can say nice things. But the baseline is, this guy's a cynical asshole, is not going to let me get away with crap. And I think that goes for coaching too. I think you got that baseline has to be, don't f with me. You got to be held accountable. You're going to get challenged here. We're going to keep pushing your ass and pushing your ass. That's what we need. The U.S. has not appointed a men's senior national team head coach without an American passport since Bora in 91, but he was non-committal on whether a candidate needs to speak fluent English, a mandate that previously ruled out highly qualified options.
This is in reference to, again, Croc.
Yeah, I think, when we had Eric Winalda on, he was like, Bora's English was just bad. And there were times he couldn't understand what Bora was talking about. So that can be a problem. But yeah, I mean, most coaches speak English. Almost all of them do. I think pretty sure Herb Renard speaks English. I don't know how good his English is, but I'm pretty sure he does. Who else was the
translator? But that translator has to be just as fiery as the coach, though.
Yeah,
I mean, if the coach is out there like yelling and screaming in whatever language, and then the translator is like incredibly soft, then it's not gonna come off well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. But like I said, most club speaks English, although apparently we're already being turned down there. But most coaches speak some amount of English. I mean, Bielsa is actually an exception to the rule. And apparently he does speak a little English, but he'd rather not. So there you go.
It was like the movie Pan's Labyrinth. I forgot the guys who actually directed the movie, but he refused to give it an English dub. So you can only watch it in closed caption. That's it. So even though you're able to have an English dub in that sense, he's like, no, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So,
no, that's fair. I like that movie without.
That's a great movie. Yeah, yeah. 100%.
I mean, I've only seen it.
I'll come back to that chat in just a second. That's who did it.
Remember Guillermo del Toro. All right.
It's a good fucking movie.
Zach for $4.99 long shot. I don't even want to hear the word Aaron Long. I mean, I know you're not talking about that. long shot, but are you guys familiar with US Fan TV? Great channel. Haven't heard anything from them in ages. US Fan TV. I don't know if I know that one or not. I watch a lot of weird shit on YouTube of people I've never heard of before because I'm just curious, but I don't remember that one. It's very possible I have, but if they haven't done anything for ages, are we talking, Yank Report ages? How long are we talking here? Because
they don't even show up on YouTube at all.
Okay, then they're not around.
AFTV pops up way beforehand.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, not off the top of my head, Zach. Sorry. Julian Vivas for $4.99. Appreciate it, Julian. Did you guys see Cherundolo said when he was asked about the U.S. men's national team, he's hiding something. Does it mean he will be the next coach?
Maybe he's hiding the fact they turned it down because he's like, hey, you know what? I'm still a young and green coach.
That's what Jimmy said he would do.
Yeah. But I also have to agree with Mule and Davies talked about. I think in the today, it's like even if you may feel that way, if the offer comes, you may never get that offer ever again.
Right. So you might
jump in and take it.
Yeah, most people would take it. The question is, has he been asked yet, or has he been talked to? Those are two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in the middle of an MLS season. Has he been talked to? I'm going to find out eventually. But it sounded really in the Crocker interview like they're going to shoot for the stars first.
So it sounds like.
That's what he said. But then we got Doug McIntyre, Paul Tenario, pushing Dolo, pushing Southgate for real. Listen, I don't want another systems guy. I don't want Southgate. I don't want him. The English can keep Southgate. Let's try somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time listening to Southgate, and I'm not even an England fan. And I listen to his press conference, and I'm like, no, I don't want to listen to this for 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't want to.
Hell, he's gotten them to another final. Is he even going to be able to? Is he going to be leaving England anytime soon?
Yeah, if he wins this whole, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I love this new mute button. All right, the decision had hardly been
when you
made.
keep forgetting to click, you mean?
Yes, exactly. Except I've gotten it pretty good on the F word. The decision had hardly been made on a hunch. The Federation touted its rigorous process that it basically borrowed from Sportsology, consisting of a laundry list of responsibilities and competencies the new head coach should meet before candidates identified by advanced data analytics, sophisticated metrics. Oh, God. Puke.
It's a word vomit. That's all it is.
And cutting edge hiring methods. How disgusting is that? It's like, can you just bust out all the synonyms you can? So it's just like gobbledygook marketing bullshit.
Yeah, it's like we got to throw in some more buzzwords, some sophisticated things, make it look like this is a real process.
Stop talking to me like you're trying to impress me, and just talk to me. I'm a fan. That's what I want. I don't need.
We got a lot of goals for this manager, and they've got to meet those goals. How about that? That is simple.
Just simple. Don't give me sophisticated. Simple. Don't give me. Jesus. And as Jeff Pettibone says, yes, corporate vomit. That's exactly what it is. Boy, marketing has gone backwards since I was in marketing. Like the whole point in the old days was to talk to people like they were real people, not talk to them like they were children. And you were this super smart philosopher. It was about connecting with people, not talking down to them. I don't get it. I really don't. All right. As he set out to conduct a global search for candidates, he deployed a, multifaceted evaluation mechanism. Give me a break. Divided into 3 categories.
So the head coach role, top priorities. I'm sorry, we don't have to go over all these things, but I'm just saying.
No, but you could blow it up a
Look at
little
this.
bigger. There we go. So everybody can see it. Yeah.
Own, deliver, and measure the team strategy, lead squad selection, direct league club coach engagement.
Lead staff, MOT, drive.
MDT. I'm not sure what MDT is, but drive player off camp engagement connections. Off camp engagement connections.
Off campus, maybe?
You got to take them to the zoo, is basically what they're saying, right?
Take them to the zoo. For sure.
Yeah. Great. Maintain a positive and media profile on and off camp.
Well, he failed at that for sure. So
yeah, that's some of the stuff for lead. You got guide, empowering the overall team, accountable for season and event planning and game schedule, responsible for the camp and key tournament debriefs, oversee the technical program. And again, this stuff just goes on and on and on.
I don't think these aren't very complicated and sophisticated at all. If you ask me, that just looks like a list of shit. You're part of your job description.
Yeah.
How is that sophisticated? All right. Head coach competencies. Yeah. This gets even harder for me to read in the red.
Drives a vision-led identity, builds relationships, effective planner, self-managed, value communication, decisive decision maker.
The vision part was we're going to change the way America sees American soccer. Prior to that, it was we were going to change the way the world sees American soccer.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Gregg's never going to do because that's done by the players at their clubs.
Yeah.
When you got the best players, our best players playing on the best clubs, that's how the world's going to the vision or the idea, of what American players can do and are. That's how that changes. The McKennies, the Pulisics. So that's how that changes. It's nothing we're going to do on the national team. You know what? Gregg got out of the group, right? At the World Cup. Did that change the way the world viewed American soccer? Not a lick. Not a lick. None. I mean, the English were probably like, wow, they actually outplayed us in that tie. But outside of that, they've already experienced Dempsey and Pulisic and Bocanegra and Casey Keller and Brad Friedel. I mean, they know not all Americans are bad at soccer. They know that already. But they've never seen a world-class American player. So that didn't change anything. They know that we've got better players than we used to, generally, at least on paper. What kind of elementary school nonsense is this? Exactly, dude. It's I don't know. I don't understand. I understand it, but pretending that this is like sophisticated.
Well, here we go. Creative innovator. Let's hear the descriptor for that. Being a creative innovator.
Okay.
Wants to push boundaries with regards to innovation and competitive advantages, and is open-minded to new ways and ideas, but always built on the back of a strong foundation.
I mean, that's just coaching. I don't get that. Of course, you're
to write this down. I mean,
you gotta. And where's the part where it says research your opponent, know your opponent's weaknesses, and play to those weaknesses? Because that's the one thing we never did. You remember always Gregg saying at the press conferences, yeah, we don't really worry about what the other team does much.
This is the closest it comes across. Effective planner. Has the ability to organize, delegate, and plan based on long-term vision and strategy.
No, it's long-term.
Next game. Can see beyond the next game or result. Wow. A legacy.
How about we not see beyond the next game?
Why don't we pay attention to that first game? Let's pay attention to that.
How about we focus on the game we're playing? I mean, that used to be that's the standard basic way. You play who's right in front of you. How hard is that? You set up your team to take advantage of the other team's weaknesses. You don't go in your interview and say, yeah, we don't really have like a specific plan. I remember when Richard said that. We don't really focus on the other team that much. We just focus on what we do. I'm like, wow. He didn't just make that up. That's been told to him. I'm sure they did some research on the players and, hey, be careful of number 9 and number 13 or whatever. But Jesus, seems like I've never heard them say, well, we had a big game plan for this one. We're going to play totally different. So there he is, Paul Tenario. Len for $15. They're going to F this up again, aren't they? God, I hope not. I hope not. By the way, the 620 of you in here, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandmother, whether you're on Twitter or you're on YouTube. And we do appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Get more eyes on it if you're on the Twitters. Just go ahead and hit that repost. Repost it. Just click.
Click. You could do that. Yep.
Repost it, comment, do all the stuff.
Right.
All the fun stuff.
So I hope not, Lynn. Larry Johnny for $2. Hire the one with the smallest penis. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Is that part of the rigorous and scientific testing?
I'm not sure you'd want to go with the smallest.
I mean, figuratively speaking, he'd be the biggest dick in the room, right?
Who, Larry?
No, the one with the smallest penis. Because you're overcompensating. So you're you're more of a dick, figuratively. Of course.
Theoretically.
That's why Napoleon was such a big dick, right?
I mean, his dick's in a jar somewhere. I don't.
We've talked about this before too, but there is an actual museum somewhere that has not mummified, but like jarred, famous.
Oh yeah.
I forgot where it's located at. It's like one of those like Scandinavian countries, or like I don't know,
like a museum
Greenland or something like that.
A museum of like penises.
How can we draw more people to our tiny nation that's frozen 90% of the time? Well, we can have a jarred penis museum.
But doesn't it have like animal penises, human penises, like all kinds of different penises?
If they had a blue whale penis, I mean, that'd take up the entire museum.
That's what I hear. I've never.
Can you get a jar built big enough for that? Would it just be like a massive fish tank or whatever?
I don't know. You need a lot of formaldehyde, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, Kyler for $20. Ronaldo 66-1 odds for our next coach. As well, throw a 5 on it, right?
Might as well, yeah. That's what I said. I said you'd be hard pressed not to. I mean, you're gonna look back and like, I should have at least put a 10 on Messi coaching us.
Laughing out loud. Also, Derek, unrelated to soccer, but have you read Blood Meridian? It's if not, give me a book suggestion to challenge the worldview of a guy in his 20s. Yeah,
this depends on what your worldview already is.
Yeah, I need to know you better, Kyler, before I recommended a book. I'm a history book reader though too, so if you're really not interested in history, you're probably not going to like a lot of the books I read. I'm a history geek. All right, what do we got here? But thank you for the $20. We do appreciate it. Yeah. All right, so this is Paul, and we've got what timestamps, right?
It's 1:45. So we're just gonna play and pause.
Oh, this is just that cut out. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a belief from the federation that the player personnel right now is the right group of players to lead this team to success as well? Because those have to come into question too. Yes.
Real quick, I don't know this crew that's asking these questions.
I don't either.
It's the new crew, or maybe it's an old crew, and maybe they cover other aspects of soccer around the world that it's just not U.S. based. But I don't know. But yeah, so holding players accountable. Is that what he said, basically? Or is this the right players?
No, I mean, he's basically saying that don't the players have to change too? As if we're not calling in the right players. We'll see.
Of course. I think that's going to be the task of the next coach, is to look at everything that Gregg Berhalter has done, to evaluate the player pool, to maybe try to foster more competition within the player pool, right? We saw players who weren't playing at the club level that were playing significant minutes at the national team.
Okay, so that he's not going to mention names here by any means, but he's
We
talking
know.
about Gio and even Turner to that extent. But
I don't-
primarily, I think he's talking about Gio.
I really don't care. I mean, I do care, trust me, but I'm not taking Gio off this team.
Well, we saw what happened, right? Against Jamaica. Gio rode Pine. You put the player, and we made that argument that Malik could start because he's playing consistently at PSV.
And Malik
started. And it's not like he had a horrible game by any means, but he didn't provide what Gio provides.
He wasn't good. And then the Turner thing, I agree. It's time to go look at some other keepers at this point. Let's do it during the next window.
I am saying we got our Olympic window coming up here, and then let's start looking at, whether it's like Schulte or whether it's Gaga, whether it's whomever else, somebody else.
I mean, the problem is there's just not a whole lot to pick from right now.
It's you're either looking at Turner and Horvath or ancients like Sean Johnson, or you're looking at very young goalkeepers, because the other alternative is somebody like Drake Callender. But then again, if you're going to do Callender, why not do anybody else?
You could bring Stefan back and give him a shot, but
yeah,
the whole point being he's right on the goalkeeper part. But I don't know how you don't have Tim Ream on this team, because I know he's not playing at full, but you got to have him, because nobody else, no other CBs can pass out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one that can do it.
He wasn't doing that great this tournament, but still.
No, he had some errors. He really did.
Oof.
So anyhow, but he's the only one that has consistently done it. That's why whoever he plays next to, including Richards, he's the one that ended up getting the ball and dribbling it forward, because nobody else is doing it and making the pass. Sometimes he makes it too late. Sometimes he passes it to the wrong dude. In the current last Copa, that's what he did, unfortunately, and put us in some real shitty situations. All right, go ahead.
Eldon says John Brooks.
I mean, we'll see. We will see if, whoever the new manager is, if John Brooks has a shot. Now, John Brooks is currently looking for a club because Hoffenheim cut him loose. So, he's going to have to find a club. He probably will. It might be one of the newly promoted clubs. They might need a veteran who has been playing in the Bundesliga almost his whole career. So we'll see what happens there.
Daniel says Brandon Craig. Yeah, he can play out of the back, but where's he playing at these days? I mean, he's not really at Philly anymore, is he? I thought did he get loaned out or did he transferred?
I thought he was on loan.
But down to USL.
I mean, he's not obviously impressing a shitload of people, because I don't ever hear Brendan Craig's name much anymore these days.
So it's so strange too, man, because he was such a standout in that U20, U23 quals.
Yeah, he couldn't get any PT though.
He had set pieces, and his distribution out of the back were just fucking spot on.
Oh, he's a great set piece taker. Yep. All right, let's play it.
He was at El Paso, apparently.
Yeah.
Team, is that because it's what's needed? Would it be good to try to create more competition where guys feel like their place is in jeopardy if they're not playing? Does that impact the way that the team worked on the field, that some guys felt like they had a place in this team no matter what? I think that'll be a big part of the task for the next coach. But right now, Matt Crocker is focused on finding candidates for this job. And I thought one of the more interesting things that he said, which
I guess we kind of have to pause it.
All that's going to be up to the next coach. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, honestly, even talking about this, because, how much a player, if they play average 15 minutes a game or they're averaging 80 minutes a game, that's going to be up to the coach to determine, whether it's good enough. Not sure that's really our deficit right now, except for the goalkeeper position. Seems like that's hurting. And maybe, Tim Ream looked a little rusty in the Copa.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to play. I'd like to see Reina just take more chances, but I don't think he was just, I don't know. I wouldn't describe him as rusty, but it wasn't his best. That's for sure.
I think a lot of it comes down to where he was being asked to play.
That's true.
If he was up higher, I mean, you saw when he got into the attack itself, he was trying to create more chances. So
yeah, that's fine. No, I get it. I just, one player regardless, unless he's getting absolutely 0 minutes at all and never, ever, ever plays and rides pine for half a season and never gets any minutes, well then, yeah, something's wrong. And I don't know if I could call a guy up like that. But, he did get minutes in Nottingham Forest. Was it as much as we all wanted? No. Was he horrible when he played? No, he wasn't horrible when he played. But
he's heading back to Dortmund, and at this point, Dortmund has an invested interest to play him some. Try to get that value up. Now it's going to be up to Gio to, put up or shut up.
Yeah,
he's got to go out there and play.
Yep. I don't know if we need to listen to any more of this.
There was something you talked about the upcoming coach.
I guess he already said those words. There's nothing here that value. I'm sorry. No offense.
My story over at The Athletic is that, he feels like he can be more targeted in this search. We've seen U.S. soccer, they kind of go through processes. They take their time. The goal is to have a coach in place by the window in September.
So basically, Crocker's come out and said, in whether it's a phone call, I forgot what it was. He basically stated that, I've been here for about 12 months now, and I have a better understanding as far as what we're expecting from the coaching staff, and I'm going to have a better idea, and I can go more targeted roles rather than going through this whole process, this whole rigmarole.
Well, he should have known that the first time through, honestly.
Agreed.
It's ridiculous that we had to go through that only for him to pick the wrong guy. I'm glad he learned something from it. Like, I don't need to do that anymore. All these mental tests and psychological battery of tests and all that. That's just stupid. Just read the guy's resume, talk to him, interview him, figure out what his vision is. And maybe it doesn't have to be completely aligned with what you think should be done. Maybe he's got a brand new vision, like a out-of-the-box way of looking at playing the game that might be better than the obviously over-thought-out one that you think is so goddamn complex, and it's ridiculous. All right.
This is the quote that I was talking about.
I'm going to let you read that. My voice is going.
1 second. I'm just... you call me while I'm typing into the chat real quick.
Okay.
I think I'm 12 months into the program now. I've been in the environment. I think I'm a lot clearer. And a lot more confident in what I see. And also doing the reviews, both Greg and Vlatko. I'm a lot clearer on what I think we need going forward. And like I said, that's basically, like, I really don't have to branch off into much more what he says right there. But basically he's saying, hey, when I came into this whole thing, I wasn't 100%. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying here, but I need to go a lot more in depth as far as what we might need in the manager. But now that we're seeing the whole process paying out, I have a better idea. My guess is they went through this whole rigmarole, brought back the wrong guy, or at least brought back Berhalter. He flamed out, and Crocker's sitting there going like, I don't want to have to go back through all this shit. We all know what we kind of need here, and now the big question is, he has two options. Is he going to go back to a systems yes man? Or is he going to go ahead and pony up and bring in somebody who's going to just be inspirational and hopefully take us through higher into the World Cup, at least with solid performances? And then next cycle, we can go back to the whole quote-unquote system yes man.
If you're shooting for the stars, you might as well throw your little booklet out. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to hire a big ass name and then tell them they've got to play your dinky little small-minded system. Fuck that. You're bringing a superstar in and you're hoping that they know what they're doing and they impart what they want to do forward. You don't tell them, hey, listen, we got this way of playing, and this is how you're going to need to play, because that's how we play here. So no more of that. No more of that. Now, if they end up hiring, because not even Wilfred Nancy, there's no way you could sit Wilfred Nancy down and saying, hey, this is how we play. If we hire you, you got to do the same thing. No way. No way Wilfred Nancy's buying that shit for a second. Not even him. Okay. Yes, man. I don't even know what Dolo would put up with that. Honestly, he might, but I doubt it. And I certainly don't think Matarazzo would put up with it, or David Wagner. They have their own way of playing, and you can't force them to play a 4-3-3. You can't force them. They'll do what they think is best for the team based on the available players, and that's how it should be.
I think U.S. Soccer's overall game plan, what they would prefer to accomplish, is to have this system integrated from youth until seniors. But not only that, but also at the coaching level. So you have all these other coaches that are coming up through the system, not through just U.S. Soccer system, but like through MLS, USL, et cetera, that are comfortable playing that position, that formation and that system, that they don't have to go out and search for these names. They can just bring somebody in and just plugging and chugging another cog into the wheel.
Well, if they're going to do that, they can get ready to just become losers. That's what they can be ready to get prepared to accept. Bend over, grab ankles, you're losers. And I think it was Roger Bennett today on the Rich.
I saw that too, yeah.
The Rich Eisen show saying, yeah, you know,
we lost Van Halen.
Although he gave credit to Greg for building a brotherhood. Fuck that, Roger. Bullshit. The brotherhood was practically there already. These kids have known each other forever. But he said, yeah, we're trying to like play Barcelona circa 2012. We're trying to play this dazzling football.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the players to be Barcelona 2012. We don't. Not yet. We don't have the players to play Man City ball or Pep ball. We need to be very thoughtful about how we set up that will work best for the players we do have. So, and that was a good point by Roger. That's the best point he made on Rich Eisen's show.
I laughed when he said we lost to a Van Halen single.
Yes, that was good. Panama. All right. Eric?
All right, so this is Eric talking about the coach search, or the search for the coach.
I guess Eric didn't want to come on after all because he never replied back to us.
Yeah.
Even though
we'll get him at some point.
He reached out to us and say, I want to come on maybe next week, Thursday. And we're like, yeah, sure, if you want to. And then radio silence. So we'll see.
I've posted things that I've forgotten about posting as well. We should have got it in writing. I mean, not typing, but writing.
Nah.
Oh well. We'll come back on at some point. Yeah, maybe he's just not ready to jump back on.
You know what? When he knows more, he should jump back on. Like knows more, like actual things, like inside info.
Yeah,
I'd like to have him on when he's got inside info, he'll share it.
Sure. I'm assuming most likely though, if he has inside info, he wants to kind of share that on his show first and foremost.
Well, Jake called him out. Jake called him out.
Jake called him out?
Yeah.
Oh, see another below the basement.
This is a follow-up article. Yeah. He's basically like, if you're quoting Ronaldo, good luck, because it's going to be wrong. It's like, I don't know if all of it's wrong. He was pretty right about a lot of the Reina stuff.
Well, and so I'm going to bring up another, going back to what 29 said about Jesse Marsh being the next manager. This is before anybody said anything about Jesse. I mean, people were like, maybe Jesse. And he flat out said, hey, Jesse's going to be the next manager. And then it looked for about a year that he got it wrong. It looked like, well, everybody was like utilizing, oh, you got it wrong. But then it came out basically from Winalda and then also from what Jesse said.
Yep.
Is that he was more or less guaranteed, like, hey, the gig's yours, and then the rug was pulled from underneath him.
He was kind of given like a verbal, the job's yours, a verbal. And then the rug got pulled out from under him. So
yeah. So my thing is that Winalda's obviously got inside information. He knew all the people that were in U.S. soccer at a personal level. I mean,
McBride, Ernie.
He knew all of them. He knew the people on the outside, the people who have he knew the Reinas and everything like that. He knew all the stuff. He knew all the people.
He didn't know them anymore.
But just because he says something, he'll say something like, "Oh, this is what I hear," blah blah, et cetera, and it doesn't come true. Doesn't mean that it wasn't going to come true. It just didn't happen to come to fruition.
Right.
So that long way around, basically saying that. Well, you can't just sit there and like, well, we got this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. Well, maybe he didn't get it wrong, and maybe it just changed after he got the inside information. Who knows?
Things can change.
Yeah. All right, let's listen what all that to say about the new upcoming coach.
With this group is if we can get them to really lock in and to care about each other in a different way, not about what we're having for dinner tonight and who's paying, but who's going to make the next tackle and how are we going to stick up for each other on the field. These guys get there. I'm going to be the first one to say this. With the right guy in charge, winning the World Cup is not out of the realm of possibility. Forget getting out of the group. I know what it feels like to take the field when you've got Americans behind you. It is a different feeling, man. And this group, one, they can handle it. They just need to be inspired, and they need somebody to crack the whip and to be a little scared of losing what they have, because
I agree. I mean, we've said that now here too. Yeah, I'm not sure I like the phrase crack the whip, but I know what he's saying. And he's saying basically somebody needs to kick these guys in the ass a bit on occasion and let them know who's running things, because it ain't them. And I think he's right there. I don't know about, I mean, listen, Greece won the Euros, right? I mean, that's not even that long ago. And that was absolutely insane that they won that. But if you play a very pragmatic way, you could squeeze out some 1-0 wins against teams you're just not supposed to beat.
Well, and as Berhalter mentioned, once you get out of the groups, once you get out of the group stage and you're in the knockout round, anything's possible.
Doesn't sound like getting out of the group stage is really something we can depend on right now.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I guess, from what the argument he was making, of course, people came out and said, like, there's no chance in hell, regardless if you have his manager, that this team's going to win. And I'm like, well, he didn't say that they would win with the right manager. He said it's not out of the realm of possibilities, which means that, yeah, sure, anything's fucking possible.
I mean, listen, it's not like we're playing a bunch of toddlers.
Yeah.
So
you just put together a string of competent matches, and who knows what will happen.
I mean, not everything's possible. If we played a team of toddlers, they're going to lose. But these aren't toddlers. They're grown men. They play on actual professional soccer teams in some of the best leagues in Europe. And if, everything aligns perfectly, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Not likely, but yeah. If Greece can win the Euros, weird shit has happened over time. Weird shit. That's just how it is. And we will have all the fans behind us in 2026. That should help inspire them, one would think. And if we get a coach or a manager who can, keep his foot up the asshole of the team and let them know, hey, you got to compete every fucking game 100%. You got to go balls out or you're off. I'm yanking you off and putting somebody else in. There you go.
I'm sorry. There's a whole new Jake topic popping up in the chat, and it's making me laugh. Because Colin has a tweet that he wanted to send to Jake. Although I don't think Jake frequents Twitter anymore.
No, he doesn't have an account. He canceled them all.
But Daniel says Jake likes Nickelback.
Oh, of course he does. That makes so much sense.
And then Hammer's Wall says Nickelback likes Jake.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's really funny. That's one of the worst bands to ever.
I've heard Jake has a tattoo of Nickelback just on his lower back above his ass crack.
Oh, you're just making that up. You're making that up to make me laugh. Give me a break. No way. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I really don't. All right.
Oh, no.
Enough on Jake.
All right,
let's leave the guy alone. Just leave Jake alone.
He opened this can of worms. I'm just saying.
Hey, I texted him and said exactly that. You started this, not me.
Yeah, this is on you.
Of course, he didn't reply to me, but that's okay. I mean, I'm not asking for his apology. He also likes Creed. Now, so you guys are just pulling my leg now, right? There is no way he likes Nickelback and Creed. All right.
The Pearl Jam Light is what Creed is at that point. And the same, the goat or whatever, the marble vocals or whatever that sounds like. I heard describe this. It sounds like Eddie Vedder sings like he has marbles in his throat.
The inflections are the same too.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of shake your head while you sing that too, because he's got the vibrato. All right, Straight Red, this could actually work. Let someone else focus on tactics and let Coach Saban focus on cracking skulls and getting everyone out of potential this group. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work real good.
It could work. It could work.
Nah, I think it's funny though, but no, it's not happening.
Obviously, just a joke.
Heard he's a big Butthole Surfers guy. Hey, the Butthole Surfers had some fun songs. They had some fun songs.
I only know one song that was on the radio, so.
Which one was that? Here's one I know it wasn't, although I don't know if this is Butthole Surfers. I just want some skank. I just want some skank. Remember that song? I think that's Butthole Surfers, right? Or am I getting them confused with somebody else? The name of the song was I just want some skank.
But the Butthole Surfer song is the entire song is him like singing in a monotone like straight phrase. He's almost like just speaking the words.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of how the song goes now.
I don't even know they had a hit.
Yeah.
I had.
Hold on. I keep believing I look up Butthole Surfers on my internet.
Somewhere in a closet, somewhere at my parents', there's a cassette in a box of all my old cassettes or my brother's old cassettes. So, okay.
What is their history song?
You might get some bad stuff if you put in Butthole Surfers.
I know. See, I had to be careful with that. They Butthole Surfers formed in the 70s?
70s, yeah, 79, 78, yeah. They were really big in the early 80s or through the 80s. Well, big is relative term. Okay.
Was it Pepper? Was that the big song?
Pepper? I don't remember that
1996. Hang on.
Jake smokes Virginia Slims. Man, you guys are good.
Okay.
Funny shit.
All right, hold on. I gotta stop this. I'm not even gonna play. We're not gonna play much of it. We're not gonna play much of it here, but I'm just gonna play a couple of notes. Okay.
A couple bars. Yeah, you're gonna get us banned. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
right.
It's Pepper's a big song.
Okay, I don't know that one. I may have stopped listening.
It's like 3 seconds. I mean, we'll be fine. It should not get hit for that. If not, I'll go back through and I'll remove that quick little segment.
All right. What else we got? What is this? Are we?
It's Doug McIntyre's top 10 coaching candidates.
Jurgen Klopp, probably not going to happen. Steve Cherundolo, number 2. He was obviously pushing that one. He's pushing that
10.
one.
Yeah.
Someone's talked to him about that. If we get Gareth Southgate, I'm going to go jump off a cliff somewhere.
I don't know where that. How did Southgate's name get pulled into this at all?
I don't know, because Southgate has apparently made some comments about this might be his last tournament, but I don't know, dude. Jim Curtin, he's an improvement over Gregg, but he's having a horrible season, which isn't all his fault because Philly refuses to buy any players. Patrick Vieira.
They continue to ship off their only healthy center back to both Copa and Nations League.
Right. They're
sorry, Copa and Olympics. Let me rephrase that.
Just selling their good players. Patrick Vieira, his club career as a manager has not been great. Hugo Perez, probably. I mean, he's I love Hugo Perez. What he did with El Salvador was nice, but jumping from El Salvador to the U.S. might be kind of a big leap. I don't know. Is he an improvement over Gregg? The answer for almost all of these is yes. Thierry Henry, I really have no clue why he's on this list.
Well, he'll be done. He'll be done with the women's Olympics squad or men's Olympic squad. Men's Olympic squad.
Yeah,
he'll be done with them after that, and then he's back up to being pundit.
Yeah, but Thierry Henry's done nothing.
I'm just saying, he expressed interest in coaching you.
Of course he did. Of course he did. So did Lawless. So what? David Wagner. I mean, listen, David Wagner's had an up and down career, but he's played.
Already coached a handful of players.
He's managed in the Bundesliga. He was good at it, and then he was bad at it with Schalke, but Schalke was a shitty team. He went to Switzerland after that. He was he took a team in the Premier League.
he went to Switzerland, coached young boys, right?
Yes.
So I mean, you better be all right.
Yeah, but he wasn't good enough for them. They fired him.
That's because they got second place, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, they fired him when they were in second place. I don't know if that's where they ended up, but after they fired him. And then, the whole Wolverhampton thing, taking them to the Premier League, keeping them up a season, that's pretty impressive. Does he do a lot with a very little? I think he proved that at Wolverhampton, getting them promoted and then keeping them up for a season. He did quite a bit with not very much.
Did all right with Norwich in the championship, despite the fact that his number one striker was injured for a chunk of it.
Yep. And then Bob Bradley, I mean,
3 out of 10, I think that's pretty high.
Bob might do it because Galati's gone. Remember, Bob hated Galati because Galati fired him. He might not like Neil. Some of the guys at U.S. Soccer have been there for ages, dude. He might hate a bunch of guys there still. I don't know. But he said at one point he'd never forgive them for what they did to him. And, maybe if Galati's gone, maybe that changes his opinion.
Could you imagine a Bob Bradley empty bucket with our current squad?
I would think a lot of the younger fans would have no clue who Bob Bradley even is.
Yeah. I would take a Bob Bradley empty bucket with our squad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bob is a hard worker, a great game planner, right? But he had his ups and downs with the with the U.S. team too. So,
apparently, according to Conrad, he was also very, very much a stickler for.
Fuck yeah.
Stickler for the rules in the sense of hey, there's
absolutely
don't miss a curfew.
Right? No, he was. There'd be no hookah bars or anything like that.
After the game we lost, no hookah bars.
I don't know why Wilfred Nancy's rated so low here as a 1 through 10.
Surprising, yeah.
I think that would be higher. The magical name missing on this list and on many of the mainstream media lists is Matarazzo. It's as if he doesn't exist. There's this guy who wrote me, well, why would Matarazzo take the job? Because he's an American. That's why. He might feel that this is a great opportunity in 2026 to lead this team and have a good run in the United States. And maybe he feels it deep in his heart. That's what he'd like to do. Because he was born here. And he grew up here and he went to college here. Although I find it funny during the interviews he does that when they ask him a question, he says things like, how do you say? Like he's a foreigner. How do you say? You can tell he doesn't speak a lot of English on his team because he searches for words sometimes during the interviews. How do you say? Yeah, I'd be mad. You don't know the word mad? You've been in Germany that long? Yeah, he's been in Germany since he was 21 years old. So, I mean, he's basically half German at this point, right? And what? I mean, maybe he's obviously Italian heritage there. So, all right.
This is Rogers' list.
Rogers? Bennett?
Men in Black? Or Men in Black? Men in Blazers?
Men in Blazers. Oh man! So these are Will Smith's picks, is what you're saying.
Yep.
All right.
Or
Steve,
Tommy Lee Jones. You don't know. Could be one of them.
yeah. I mean, again, Steve Cherundolo on the list here. Steve Cherundolo on Tenario's list. Guardiola, you come on, dude. That ain't happening. It's just not going to happen. Klopp already kind of said no. At least once. Marsh just got a job.
Why would he offload Canada at this point?
He wouldn't, and he's probably crapped all over his relationship with U.S. Soccer by talking about how poorly they treated him. At least
also with Marsh, I mean, I believe you had mentioned in one of our previous shows that the rumored amount of money that he's making in Canada is twice as much as Berhalter.
Yeah, it's a little more than that. I don't think it's twice as much. It's like a $3 million range.
I thought we said it was 4, but
just want to say thanks to all 669 of you watching right now. Nice. Pellegrino Matarazzo is on this list, so that's nice. Pochettino
first person too, right?
Yeah. Yep. Pochettino should definitely at least have a conversation with him. We already talked about Renard earlier. Let's hope that conversation's going on. F. Tuchel. I'm not watching.
Get him off the list. Get him off the list.
I'm not watching soccer terrorism. Screw that shit.
Yeah, and he comes back, and Pulisic automatically goes back to a bench role.
Or he starts playing Pulisic at right back or left back or something weird.
Nope.
I'll pass. I don't like Tuchel. So that's kind of hard for me to get over Tuchel.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, he just coached Bayern Munich to no titles, right? Well, in the end, I guess. Wagner, again, we already talked about him. Let's see. McBride said David Moyes. I don't think that's going to happen. That's sort of a McBride favorite because he played for Moyes. He played for him at Everton and Preston North End. So that's why he loves him some Moyes.
Where's he at now?
West Ham.
Okay, that's right.
Yep. All right. What else we got? Man, this night is getting long. All right. Jim Curtin wasn't surprised by Gregg Berhalter's firing and still wants to help U.S. men's national team. Oh, and he wanted Jurgen Klopp too. On to someone else, it looks like, and if they'd like a high-quality assistant. Yeah, he said that before. Curtin. Yeah. Not surprising. He would probably give up his left nut to be the U.S. men's national team coach, but I don't think that's where we're going to settle. I really don't.
We've already talked about Klopp. Getting rid of that one.
Yep. You can literally...
Let's start with this.
All right. Egypt and Nigeria have made official offers to Herb Bernard to become the new head coach. Both offers are around $2 million a year. Well, we can beat those out.
We can beat that out, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Tech says you can literally pay his salary if you simply use the revenue increase that he will bring in by tapping into the soccer mom market.
I mean, he's not. I mean, I guess he kind of looks like he could be a movie actor, right?
Sure.
Kind of a bad guy role, the guy that takes over the tower to steal the money from.
He's the new Die Hard villain, right?
Exactly.
he's got a European accent. Whatever, it's good enough.
Yeah.
There you go. It's James says it's a Bond villain.
That'll work.
Actually, BMR had it too. Yeah.
I mean, they could find a way, dude. They just need to make a few calls to the sponsors and say, listen, Renard wants $4 million. And Michelob will go, let me call the Bud Anheuser-Busch guys and see if I can get you that money. Because Michelob's not going to be able to prove that on their own.
Anheuser-Busch is going to be like, well, hold on, wait a second. Here in this couch cushion, yep, there's some $8 million for you, okay.
Wouldn't Anheuser-Busch have to call InBev? Don't they own Anheuser-Busch?
InBev, I thought, just owns the distribution.
Oh, you're right, maybe.
U.S. distribution. Let's rephrase that.
I'm pretty sure they're owned by a foreign entity, Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch. Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Somebody will know that. Somebody in here will know that. So, Eric Ronaldo, so why didn't you say this while Greg was coaching? We need to answer.
No need to answer. We
no
know.
need to know. Okay. Sue
I'm
Holden.
gonna pull it up. I need to share the audio though for it. So let's listen to what Holden has to say about this is purely about results for 2026. So let's just see what he has to say.
America was always going to be so important for the United States men's national team because we're going to find out some real stuff about this team. And I think we found out some important things. This player pool is not as elite as we might have thought over the past year or two. So there's
I don't think anybody said that it was elite. Have we ever used the word, this is an elite team?
World class. Well, it's that whole golden generation label that gets thrown around.
Yeah, we've never used it here. In fact,
it's the stupidest phrasing ever. Yeah.
Because we've actually been critical of people who think this is a goal. You're not a golden generation until you do something. Because
that was Belgium's issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's not really a golden generation because they never did anything, right? I mean, on paper, you look at the team on paper, you're like, oh, this is really a lot of good players, but they never amounted to anything. If you want to be a golden generation, is something you label a team after they've been golden. They got to go do something golden first, then they get to be a golden generation.
It'd be fine if you added a question mark at that. Like, is this a golden generation? We got some really talented players, but we'll see.
It's one of the best generations in my lifetime, but golden, not yet. And one of the reasons we're getting rid of Gregg, and we've been talking about getting rid of Gregg, is I think that this team is underperforming in general.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Belgium came in third in the World Cup. I mean, Jackie D, that's not bad. But everybody was talking about Belgium winning multiple, Euros and World Cups.
If our golden generation did that, I'd be pretty happy, though.
Yeah. I mean, listen, they're consistently kicking the ass out of Mexico. But as we said, this ain't your grandma's Mexico. All right? It's just
your
not.
Mother's Mexico.
No. Well, certainly not mine. All right. What else?
Within this team ahead of the next 2 years. And then Gregg Berhalter was unable to win big knockout games. And you think back to the World Cup, the quarterfinal, again, the round of 16, rather, against the Netherlands. What happened in that match, the way the U.S. went out.
So I think that's kind of what Ronaldo was talking about, saying, hey, why didn't you say this before?
Yeah.
We know.
It's a lot of kiss buttery going on. And all of a sudden, now that he's gone, now you can talk shit about Gregg.
A little bit of rewriting of history, if you will.
We've been talking shit about Gregg for some time now. Welcome to the party.
I can't. I'm not going to go back and verify this or anything like this, but I would wager that Holden would have probably, after that Holland game, simply said something along the lines like, well, geez, if Pulisic would have put that in, would have been a completely different game. We had our chances. We probably could have beat them on a different day. Something like that. I guarantee you it would have been something along those lines. But now it's a complete, we're 4 years or a couple of years down the road from that. And it's completely different now. It's like, look at that game. That was, we got outclassed. It was an outclassed game. And nothing's really changed since then.
Fumar says you can have a golden generation and not win a trophy. Well, that's your own definition then. And if you want to make that your definition, you could do that. I'm totally fine with it. We have won trophies, right? I mean, we've won the Nations League twice, but I don't think that this generation of players has really lived up so far to the expectations that we all have for it because of, on paper, how good it looks on paper. This team needs a little swift kick in the ass, and then maybe with a new coach, we'll be able to see what they're actually able to achieve with a good coach who holds them accountable, that isn't their best friend, doesn't give them reach arounds in the shower after the games, allegedly.
For us, and let's even say Belgium before this current golden generation that they had, or the one they're running low on at this point, they're all aging out. But let's just say if you have a team that's not necessarily super competitive at the highest level, and you have a golden generation that makes you competitive, but you don't necessarily win anything, but you're competitive at the highest level.
I mean,
would you be willing to drop the golden generation on that?
You look back on those Portugal teams with Figo, and people called that Portugal's golden generation. But the only golden they know about is the urinating they did in the toilet before and after the game, because nothing golden came out of it for the most part. So, that's the problem with all these labels people give teams. I'd rather just say, what have they done? And you could redefine it for yourself, like Fumar said, and you could say, well, for us, it's a golden generation. That could be. This might be the best we've ever had. Although there are lots of people out there saying, well, 2002 team was just as good. And Bruce Arena said he thinks the 2002 team would beat this team, not because they're more skilled, because they got a pair of testicles.
Mm-hmm.
They got a nutsack.
I think Winola said the same thing about the 94 one, too.
Maybe so. Maybe that's what this team is missing. You could be really skilled. And
they're missing San Diego players? Is that what you're saying?
And just be a wuss, right? Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. All right.
It was good against Mexico. It was good in CONCACAF, but that's the baseline expectation. And Gregg Berhalter himself, guys, said on day one he wanted to change the way people viewed American soccer globally. That ultimately didn't happen. 0 wins against top 15 opponents in the world outside of Mexico. And that, to me, is the biggest part about pushing this conversation forward now. Gregg Berhalter, his first cycle was a success. He brought this...
Wait.
Where was all this?
He just laid out all the reasons why this is kind of a failure. 0 wins against top 20 teams outside of Mexico, of course. Everything that he accomplished is kind of the expectations. But that first cycle was a success?
No, it wasn't. We only qualified on goal
differential. Automatically qualified, yes.
Auto qualified on goal differential. Canada finished ahead of us, right, in qualifying. So did Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's a success. We got to the knockout stages, as we should have.
Again, yeah.
Bare minimum. And then we got our ass kicked by the Netherlands.
It was funny because I think he was kind of laying into what he really feels. And then he had to realize it halfway through. Like, I gotta spin this back around.
I gotta backtrack a little here.
Let's see. Everything he did was expectations. He sucked against quality opponents, but the first cycle was a success.
I mean, I guess if you're thinking that 2018 for not qualifying for 2018 was going to be such a detriment that we will then struggle to qualify for 2022, I don't think any of us expected that we would not qualify for the World Cup. Like, I didn't. I expected that we would qualify for the World Cup. I knew that 2018 was this weird, fluky bullshit thing that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gotten a failed Euro coach that hasn't succeeded in MLS to coach us, and we still would have qualified, right?
You would think, right?
We did.
At least that failed non-Euro coach resigned right after. And
sorry. I was referring to the failed Euro coach who didn't succeed in MLS would have been the current coach, Berhalter.
Well, Bruce is the one that blew 2018, and he resigned right after.
Yeah.
And that's what Gregg should have done after Copa. She said, listen, it's not working out. I'm probably not the right voice. My voice is probably guys are getting too comfortable here. I think for the better of the team, I'm going to resign. Should have done it.
Yeah.
Would have made this easier for everybody. But all this sort of after the fact, now that he's actually fired, coming out and saying all these critical things about Gregg, I'm sorry, dude, but you kissed that guy's ass almost the entire time he was coach.
Mm-hmm.
Stu, you were a shill. Sorry. Or afraid. I don't know why you'd be afraid to talk, because
just toting that company line. You don't want to ruin Fox's access. I mean, Fox would still have access, of course.
Absolutely.
But it wouldn't be Lawless, and it wouldn't be Stu at that point, right? It'd be somebody else in there.
I don't know what Stu, he doesn't really host a show. I don't know what he's worried about.
He occasionally pops up on State of the Union.
he and his high ass voice call the games.
Yeah.
Sorry for the
Young
stray.
group of players through COVID, difficult period, out of the group in the World Cup in that group stage. But now it's about taking this team, this group of players, but also this program to the next generation, the next step, which is winning. I don't care how it's done. Romanticizing, playing out of the back and high press. It's about winning. So finding a coach that has a track record of doing that at the international level and really pushing it forward. That's what we need to be looking for.
Unbelievable. We've been saying all that shit about playing out of the back and trying to play tiki-taka. And now you got Bennett. You got Roger Bennett saying it, although he said it before to give him some credit, but it was until it was like 6 months ago. And then, everybody's going to come out of the closet now and be the expert. When they could have said this before, where were they? Star Wars.
They're hiding behind their access.
Steve Cherundolo incoming, says Star Wars Satan. Now
you're missing the sirens the next step.
I hope not. We got to shoot for the stars now. We got to do something that you need an enforcer to be manager of this team. Taylor Twellman. I don't think the players should get away with this. Get away with what exactly?
We'll see.
I don't know if it's all on Gregg, but I don't like the way the players played. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I don't want it. I know that sounds crazy as an alum. I want a team that runs through the wall. I'd rather lose the game 4-3 by going for it. And that's where I don't know if it's all on Gregg. Quite frankly,
he sounds so weird coming off of a phone. It doesn't quite sound like himself.
He doesn't know it's all on Gregg. What do you think? They're playing the way we play out of the back and all this weird shit because that's what they want to do?
Well,
because if I'm the manager of the team, I'm like, no, we're not playing like that.
Well, it's he's looking at it because he talks about the players running through the wall. I'd rather the players go out there and bust their ass and lose 3-4 than see what we're seeing right now. And we've talked about how the players looks like they're playing with no heart. There's no grit, no dedication. It seems
they're
like
too comfortable.
That's the thing. He's going, well, this isn't even on Gregg. This is on the players. We can't let the players get away with that. But then again, if the players are playing like that, it's up to the coach to make the change.
Yes.
Whether it's a sub, you're either subbing the person out, not starting the next game, or you've got to get up on their ass, right?
You got to get up in that ass.
But how do you not pin this on the coach at that point? I mean, yes, the players have some fault as far as not going out there and bleeding for the crest. I mean, yes, we had that one moment where Wes, against Mexico, got his jersey ripped and he's over there kissing the crest. Great to see. I love to see the energy against Mexico. Let's see it against everybody else.
Yeah, it would be nice to see it against everybody else. And by the way, post game, after we're knocked out of Copa, Wes is asked. He's asked, "Hey, what do you think is going to happen to Gregg now?" Oh, well, we're really comfortable with Gregg. He said it. He fucking said it. Wes said he said those words. We're comfortable with Gregg. Yep. Okay, Gregg's got to go then.
You can tell. We can tell you're comfortable by how you're performing on the pitch.
Right. So Taylor keeps saying, well, I don't really even think this is Gregg's fault. Well, some of it's his fault because he isn't getting up on that asshole, and that's what he needs to do.
What's the definition of insanity?
Right.
Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If the players aren't playing with heart, dedication, grit, all that stuff, they're not going out there and playing a little chippy at times to say, "Hey, you guys can't do that over here." Well, then you've got to make some changes.
What is that?
Player personnel has to change.
What is that show with Larry David? What's that called again? With Larry David? I always forget the name of that show for some reason.
Community?
No.
No, what is it?
But I love it when
somebody's gonna have it in the chat.
Yeah,
Curb Your Enthusiasm. There you go.
Thank you. I love it when Larry almost gets in a fight and what's his face tells him, "Now, Larry, man, you got to get all up in that ass, Larry. You got to get up in that ass, Larry." He's like, "Yeah, I do got to get up in that ass." And that's what we need right now. We need Somebody's going to hold these dudes accountable going forward. We can't have comfort. This ain't about comfort. This is about a home Copa, at home. And you didn't run through a wall, and you weren't Warriors, and you didn't play with a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, for about the 700 of you here, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with grandmother and your stepsister. If you need stepsister advice, please reach out to us in the chat. All right, what else we got? Are you going to finish this?
We're like a third of the way through, Derek.
I don't think the players should get away with this. I really believe that. And quite honestly, and I've never been a part of a team that did. I don't say that tongue in cheek, but I've never been a part of a locker room where the coach got fired. Okay. And the reason why I say that is, but if a coach gets fired, you absolutely have to take some accountability. It's human nature. You're playing the game. And
will they?
Coach got fired. Now let's see here. When did Twellman play?
No, he's right.
Did he play during Bradley at all?
He's right.
No, he wouldn't have played at the tail end of it now. No, he wouldn't have. Yeah, right.
He's not lying. I don't know what he's trying to take credit for there, but yeah, if you get it, probably the guy that feels the worst is Timothy Weah, obviously, because he got the red card. So he feels bad, but only that Gregg got fired because he loved him some Gregg. And then, the players that never liked Gregg are happy to see Gregg go. And by the way, we said this before. The only ones that are public about it, and were today, were Reyna and Scally, who liked a post on Instagram announcing Gregg's firing. The rest of the guys, and there are other guys on this team that do not like Gregg.
I wanted to find a picture of Berhalter handing the birthday cake to Gio, and I wanted to put a little bubble on Gio's head. Going,
that was so uncomfortable.
I guess my birthday wish came true.
That was so uncomfortable. It really was. It looked unnatural. It felt uncomfortable. It felt awkward.
I think player and coach knew it was just to placate fans. It was literally a hope and attempt to say, "Oh, look, they're back to being buddies again."
Someday, Tack will be able to write a book about all the other players on the team who were not fans of Gregg. There are others. He'll be able to write that book at some point and tell the stories, all those stories he knows, which are, it's crazy town. Some of the stuff that went on.
I'm sorry, but if we're watching the highlighted clips and going, dude, that's fucking cringe.
Yeah,
there's more. To imagine these adults, these young adults, sitting in there having to listen to it on a daily basis.
There's more cringe.
Oh, I would imagine so. Yes.
And I know that we've got people who told us stuff too. We can't name who they are. There's even other cringier shit we can't even tell you about. I wish we could, but we're going to wait a while because it will reveal who those persons are, and it'll just get them in trouble. So we're not going to do it. We're going to wait.
I don't want to mess with anybody's livelihoods in that sense.
No, I don't either.
So
I think that's sad, but I mean, as far as overall stories go, and like shit that's known but can't be said, that's Tact. He's got crazy stories, like absolutely nutso balls all stories. So anyhow, someday I'm sure he'll be able to reveal it.
Yeah.
I know this is going to sound crazy to you guys. The manager sets you up. The manager sets the plan. You play the way he does. The moment the whistle blows, guys, the manager's not on the field. The manager's not on the field. It's me. It's my group of friends. It's my teammates. We got to figure it out the moment the whistle's blown. He can't hold our hands. He can't walk us through it.
12 minutes. If you're talking about an individual game, one solo game, I would agree with you on this. But it's every game.
Yeah.
In the manager, Berhalter had to make a change. And yes, that might be benching a player that you would normally start. Okay. Wes hasn't been great for the last handful of games for the U.S. men's national team. Bench his ass, put on Cardoso, and see what happens.
Who was the guy who broke down the videos on Tyler Adams overcommitting during the Copa? Like
sure. I don't think I've even seen that video yet.
Overcommitting and leaving this gigantic hole in the middle of the midfield where we became.
The one where like Gio was already there pressing.
Yes, and then he double pressed the guy that Randall was already pressing.
Yeah.
I mean, it made no sense, and it left McKennie
I know
all by himself to cover the back four.
I know. Adam posted that or posted something like that.
Oh, it was Adam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also known as
U.S. Men's National Team Stan
USMNT. Adam, sorry, we forgot your at. It was a good video. I like that.
Just I want to give him credit for it. Everybody knows, I'm sure, but
he also pointed out the
it's USMNT _Stan.
He also pointed out the mistakes that Adams made during the World Cup, where he jogged back, right? And then Memphis Depay just like ran right back by him while he was jogging back. We mentioned it at the time. So, yeah, that can't happen. I mean, if you're not fit enough to run your balls off, then, maybe you shouldn't be playing because he did some jogging during Copa too.
Charlie and Tony interviewed Tab Ramos, and that was one thing that he brought up.
Who?
Talking about Tab.
Oh, Tab Ramos, yeah.
And he was talking about the fact that we were even in a position where we had a player that we were managing the minutes for.
Yeah,
and he was guaranteed. He was a guaranteed start at that point.
Again,
at that point, if you're not fit, you're not ready. Then you're not going to get called up.
You got to start Johnny. Sorry, I know that Adams is going to be upset with you, but you got to start a healthy player who's going to give you 60, 65. Then you bring Tyler in to shut the game down at the end if you want to do that. If you want to do that. But, I mean, you can't waste a sub and automatically know at halftime. You got to, so anyhow. So that wasn't good for that game. James Barras for $10. Thank you, James. New name. Haven't seen that name before. Twelman, Lawless, Keller are all shills who provide the veneer of criticism. I watch English football, and their pundits are idiots, but we have C- tier analysts at best. Yeah, I don't think we have any like Roy Keanes there's some critical dudes who cover the game, obviously in England. But, we have critical people who cover football or NFL football in this country. And Larry was really surprised that I knew who Bear Bryant was. Dude, I'm a NFL dorcas. Like, I've been watching NFL since I was a little kid. My first, I think I was 5 years old when the Steelers beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann. I think I was 5 or 6 years old watching it with my dad, staying up to watch the Super Bowl. It was like amazing. So I'm a long-term sports guy in general. I used to watch a lot of tennis, NFL. Soccer was not something that was on very regularly until I was getting into like my later teens and my 20s. And then you need a special way to get there. You have to buy special stuff and special packages to get to watch the games. And really, it was in my early 30s when I could watch Fulham every morning. I could watch the Fulham game every morning. Well, not maybe every game, but a lot of games. And I wouldn't miss a single one. All right. Michael Giannoni. He has indeed had those conversations. And as of now, if he's not the leading candidate, he will definitely be a finalist for the job, I believe. And what are we looking at here? Oh, Dolo. Yeah, that would be really underwhelming. Not for just us, but is he an improvement over Berhalter? Sure. I mean, we won't know that necessarily. I mean, he's got more accolades already. At least he's won an MLS Cup. But is that a game changer? Nah. Nah, it's not.
I had you read that and I pulled it down like, oh, Dolo, and then you pause. So then I hit play on this, and right as I hit play, and like, is he better than Gregg? And I hit pause. I'm like, I'm gonna play the video clip.
Oh, does he say something about this?
I don't know. We're gonna find out what the whole point of that tweet was.
Thanks, Steve. So a follow up to that: is your intention to be LAFC's coach through the end of the season? That's where your head's at.
I am LAFC's head coach right now, and that is my job. What I do every single day. And tomorrow morning training's at 11:15, an hour later, and I will be there for that.
Oh, that's kind of like, sounds like he's already had a few words. He's not making any promises, is he?
I'm currently,
yeah.
As of tomorrow, I'll be at the LAFC field.
Right. So obviously they've already had preliminary discussions. That's obvious at this point. And they've probably talked to him even before Gregg got fired, because usually a good sporting director will have a list of guys he's talked to in the past that showed some sort of interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
In an emergency to come in as the coach. So, I mean, they might have followed up with him and there might have been further discussions. Now, I'm actually 100% sure they've talked to Dolo as well. So,
yeah.
Otherwise,
no, I agree.
There is no reason he needs to be this coy.
Yeah. I agree with everybody who posted on that, basically saying that they've absolutely had conversations.
Yes.
And if he's not the leading candidate, he is one of them.
He's certainly somebody they're considering, although the general pressure on social media has been, no, thank you. That's been the general sentiment. Nah, that's fine, but no, thank you. Yes, is he probably an improvement over Gregg? Sure, but no, thank you. Can we shoot for the stars, please? Yep. That's what we'd like to see.
Well, Derek, we are entering 2 hours and 45 minutes right now. We still have the call it what you want video to pull up if we want to.
Fuck's sake.
But I mean, you had like 10 timestamps for that. So I mean, is this something you want to hold off on till a Monday, or just not do it all, or do you want to go and do it?
Let's just do it.
Okay.
We wasted too much time on some of those other ones.
Yeah, that's what we do, Derek.
It's too repetitive. Some of it.
No, there's nothing repetitive about anything. All right, so 1647. That's where we're starting off at.
Well, I was certainly repetitive. All right, here we go.
I don't think you can afford to do it. I've got a name for you guys.
He's got a name.
Yes.
Paul has a specific name that he wants to bring up. We kind of talked about this, but let's hear him.
Is that I think I would go after number one on my list if I were U.S. Soccer. And it's a name that's got a little bit of controversy around him at home, but the results speak for themselves. If I'm Matt Crocker, I'm waiting till the weekend. I'm waiting for the Euro final, and then I'm calling my old friend Gareth Southgate. Because, first of all,
no one really likes it either.
Look at those faces.
Yeah, no one's like, that's a good idea.
I mean, Jimmy was even scratching his head, and he was like,
"What?
What
did you just say?"
The results speak for themselves. Okay, let's go down. I mean, you can go down the list of the English roster compared to the U.S. roster, and just see why they should. Why are the results speaking for themselves? Why should they? You know,
it's one of the best rosters, English rosters in my lifetime.
Yeah,
it's one of the best assembled team. So if you want to watch soccer terrorism, then pick Southgate. That'll be fun.
The funny thing is, Paul has to know this in the sense that when you listen to English fans, they are saying the same things that we say about Berhalter. And I know we've always, everybody's already made the comparison that there is English Berhalter is what he is. But I mean, it is identical, the stuff they say about him compared to what we say about Berhalter.
So Jackie D's saying Southgate is the most successful England manager in the last 40 years. Well, that's not saying much. It really isn't saying much because England has been constant underachievers their whole basically existence since the 1960s. I would just say this. If you think Southgate has taken this amazing English roster and done all he could have with it, I would disagree with that. Now give him a lesser talented roster and see what he does with that. And I don't think it'll be better than what he's doing with England. It will be worse by a long shot, by a very long shot. I'm not calling it up Southgate. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. There's no thank you. Sorry. And I realized he's taking
using the roster alone.
He's in the final. Good for him. That roster they've got is flat out amazing. They should be accomplishing this. They got a great draw through the knockout stages. Let's see what they do in the final. I mean, we'll see. Spain's been badass so far. James Boris for 10. Derek, I'm an Everton fan, and listening to even Rooney, who's an Everton homer, is better than what we have. Need serious soccer people in our environment. If we get Southgate, I will rage. Got to give Miola credit. Miola's, I think, been one of the best commentators so far. And also Miola's been saying this for a long time. Okay, so this isn't like Miola just showing up to the show. Miola has his own little radio gig thing or whatever. He's been talking about this forever. So there are some good ones, Miola being one of them. Jimmy has been no more Gregg after the World War II, after the World Cup in 2022. So there are guys that have been there for a little while and have been saying, no, we don't want Gregg back for some time. The other ones, the ones that are just getting on board, and all the mainstream media journalists, writers who are just getting on board or did after Copa, where were they before this? That's all I got to say.
I'll say when it comes to the radio pundits or the just like the pundits that we see on YouTube and on all the channels and stuff like that, you have some names who are made for TV talk where they get like they can get animated, they can get fired up, they can get emotional about certain things. Tony has a very like kind of like a straight toned type of how he addresses things.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really stand out so well in like the radio talk or even the podcasting sound to an extent. But if you listen to what he's saying, I think most of what he says, the vast majority of what he says, is fucking spot on.
Hammer Wallace, I don't know how bright he is. He doesn't sound like a dummy though. Like he's getting the basic things right, and he has for some time. He's talked about the way we've been playing out of the back and playing tiki-taka bullshit for a good while now.
Who are we talking about as not being bright?
He said Miola's not that bright.
Oh. I think he's been what he says is pretty spot on. I think a lot of it is just coming down to how he speaks.
I mean, he's got the New Jersey accent. Maybe you're holding that against him, but we've had him on the show. We've had him on the show. He's a perfectly charming guy who tells it like it is and doesn't usually, squeeze a lot of bullshit into his statements. He just kind of keeps it real simple. I mean, he's not going to use big words or whatever, but I don't know. I guess that's what you're saying. But,
I don't use big words.
All right, what's the next one?
This is... I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, this is a player run. This is when I'm guessing Tony talks about a player's run team. I think is what you had written down.
Mm-hmm.
Second cycle with this group, it started to feel like to me that this was more a player run team than it was a manager run team. And when you do that, sometimes it's good, but sometimes you run into some issues, right? And with a young team, I think it's really, really difficult. Think about the cycle that they're in right now. They don't really know anything else, this group. They don't know anything other than, hey, this is how a national team should be run. I think they need a different view right now because remember, they
agreed.
Yeah, they need a different view for sure. So, I mean, he's just saying I think what's obvious to a lot of us, but nobody was saying a lot. Like you haven't heard that until just recently from a lot of other people, whereas Tony's at least been saying it for some time.
Yeah. And didn't I don't know if it was rumored or if it actually came out or not, but I mean, didn't Pulisic have a heavy hand in bringing in Zendejas and Haji into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Berhalter.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg, do your job. You should be scouting those players.
Yeah, I mean, there really shouldn't be meetings with the leadership council about who you want on the roster. That's a step too far. Like, you're the coach. That's your job. You shouldn't have to consult with the leadership council about this guy or that guy and why he shouldn't be on the roster or not.
Speaking of the leadership council. Tony's going to talk about that, I think.
Here we go.
We've had discussions off air about, leadership committees and all of this stuff. I say we scrap all of that, and we got to go back to somebody who just takes complete control. Everyone's going to have an idea, and they're going to have to sell that to Matt Crocker on how they want to play, what this roster looks like, who they'll call in, all of those things. Because every manager that they interview will have all of that stuff. I want the best guy for the group. And again, I don't care what the name is. If he has a name, then perfect, right?
Okay, that's enough. Yeah. He's got to have a name. I'm sorry. Otherwise, I don't know who he's talking about that doesn't have a name. So I disagree with him there. I think it's somebody that Matt Crocker can go interview some, college coach and yank him from the college ranks to come coach the U.S. men's national team. I just don't think that's a good idea. So I do care who it is. I do care what the name is. I want somebody I know hearing their name, like Herb Renard, as Eldon Hassick says for $2 here, who's an excellent motivator. And that's what we need right now. Now, we need somebody who get up all in that asshole. That's what we need. Somebody going to get up all in that asshole and rip it up if need be. Now, what else? What's the next one?
Well, we did cover this earlier in the article, but it looks like they're going to talk about the advanced metrics.
Oh, good. This is funny.
Be real though. Like, if you go and look at the data from the World Cup in 2022, this U.S. team played better soccer than any U.S. team had before. Like, just in terms of like the tilt of the field, the number of possessions that ended in the opposing third, number of times that they won the ball on counters in good spots. Like, all of the advanced metrics showed that they played better soccer, certainly than the team in 2014.
Before he even gets into it,
yeah.
Does it? I've started losing some kind of respect for Paul as more of.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
But does it look like they're taking in the amount of shillness in this sense?
No, all three of them are like, "What the are you talking about, dude?"
Did you watch the game, or are you just looking at these analytics?
And Mio is just like, I'm pissed. I'm shutting this guy down because you got to watch the games too. You can't just use stats. This isn't baseball. It's not baseball. This isn't who's the guy from the A's, Oakland A's. This is
Moneyball guy. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Brad Pitt. It's Brad Pitt, right?
Brad Pitt was in it, but it was the other guy that played the Moneyball.
Jonah Friedman.
Jonah Friedman was that data analyst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soccer doesn't really work like that. There's so many intangibles in soccer. Heart, grit, all that stuff. Although all the stats also showed us at Copa to be the least aggressive team in Copa. Did you see that stat?
Yeah.
On the aggression meter?
We were second to last, I thought.
Nope, we were absolutely
was it dead last? Oh.
Dead last on the aggression meter. Yes. Dead last. Not even close either.
Well, speaking of aggression, let's listen to Tony.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that
Paul,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. That's not true, man.
It is.
No, it's not true. The reason the reason those metrics look the same because you didn't have metrics in 2002. We didn't have these metrics, or they would look exactly the same.
They only played CONCACAF opponents, basically. You throw that in too. They didn't play.
Look at the front of the I'm talking about the World Cup, just the World Cup data. And you're right. The data I'm talking about as far as how much better it was that I looked at was over the last 4 World Cups. So 2010, 2014, 2018.
They backed that motherfucker up. Charlie's like, I'm about to get up all in this ass, motherfucker.
He jumped out of that screen, man.
I know. Miela's like, he says it later. We don't have to play it, but he's like, that really triggered me. That really pissed me off.
He is human. Look at him.
Oh,
Look at
dude,
him.
he is so mad.
God.
It's like, don't be using your stat shit. Come on, man. Of course we statistically are, we played Wales. Yeah. We played Iran. Okay? We had a good group there. We should have whooped Iran and Wales, but we didn't. We did get out of the group, but
not to throw Herc or Seb under the bus or anything like that. But this kind of pushback and venom is kind of what I expected Herc and Seb to do when Nelson Rodriguez was on their channel.
Yes,
I expect the amount of venom that they were pushing prior to him being on the show. I expected this type of venom whenever Nelson was like, we just don't make any money doing this, and
That would have been nice if either of them would have addressed that when I added them. It's not like my tweet was that nasty. I just said, hey, what happened in that interview you just did with Nelson Rodriguez? It seemed like you guys were all fire and brimstone last week. Now you got the guy on the show and you're lobbing him softballs. What's up with that?
It's T-ball. It's T-ball at that point.
And I know those guys are friends with Tack. I get it. And Pete. So, I was hoping I'd get a real answer or at least a response. Like, Derek, sorry, it was scripted and we couldn't ask any follow-up questions, which is what I asked them. Were you not allowed to follow?
You gave him the out. Yeah.
I gave him an out.
For us, it's the same situation like with Lawless. We had Lawless on, we had fun with him, talking about the past, talking about the present. You still converse musically with him and stuff like that. But if he comes out something that's we find stupid or wrong, we're going to call it.
And we did. We confronted him on the show numerous times about changing his principles, about, one cycle, about Gregg as a leader. We played the videos for him. And I said, is this really what U.S. Soccer thinks should be out in public? And what did Lala say? He said, yeah, that shit should not be out in public. They should not put things like this up because it doesn't make Gregg look good. Who here is ready to change the way Americans feel about American soccer? Raise your hands. That's the most talking down to of young men I've seen in some time. Now you're going to make them all raise their hands, and they're going to have to. They have to raise their hands. So asking a question like that is just, it's demeaning. It's demeaning. That's what it is. Well, so what? Tillman doesn't want to raise his hand? Are you going to confront Tillman? Hey, Tillman, you didn't raise your hand. You're the only guy in the room here who didn't raise his hand. You got a problem with that? And he could have just said, nicht verstehen. Like, I don't understand. He could have started speaking German. Like, I don't know what you just said, dude. Anyhow.
Did they go into any more than that on the stats?
No, we're done there.
Okay. All right, so 39-10. See, 39-10, this is about Crocker Leadership Council.
Crocker said he called the leadership group. And here, for me, lies the problem. Again, I mean, you guys, I imagine, have been on teams where managers are fired, right? Did you get a call from your general manager to tell you what was going on?
Hell no.
Did they say, hey, I just want to let you know, I fired you guys? No. Like every other, you think who got fired? Ecuadorian coach, right? Was the first one to go in Copa America. Did they call a leadership group? No, all those guys picked up the newspaper and the coach was fired.
Yeah, that's how it used to work in the old days. You just found out, oh, my coach was fired. I mean, in this case, they all should not have been surprised,
Yeah.
But Crocker reaching out to the leadership group, or committee or whatever, it's council is what it's called. Seems really ridiculous. I mean, unless he's calling to tell them, hey, Gregg's out. Maybe that's just a courtesy call.
Yeah.
Gregg's out. I mean,
wanted you to hear from me first before you hear it from anybody else.
Right. Although I don't even know if that's necessary, really, honestly. Like, this leadership committee needs to go. It's been ineffective. The brotherhood's already there and built. And
you just reach out to the agents and say, hey, let your players know.
Well, as Tony said, you just found out in the paper in the old days.
Yeah.
And in this case, it'd take them 5 seconds. They're all on Twitter and social media. They're going to find out as soon as you announce it anyhow. I mean, I don't know whose feelings you're hurting.
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, you could they could have literally just made a statement on Twitter or social medias or published it on their own fucking website. They don't post anything there.
I don't know why we need to placate the players this much. It just seems ridiculous. Again, that's why somebody needs to be hired to get up all in that an asshole. That's what we've been talking about here. All right, what else? Let's finish this bitch up. It's 3 hours in.
Yeah, no. The title for this is the team is soft. So I'm assuming this is probably going to be Tony again.
Think so.
Could be Davies, I guess.
I mean, I kind of feel it. I don't know that the team is soft, but if the narrative is that they're a little bit soft, does that help? Like, does that mean we need to? I don't know the word. We need to harden them a little bit. Like, I don't know if that's the right.
Thank goodness he didn't say we need to get them hard.
But he did say, I don't know if that's the right word. That's kind of funny. I don't know about harden, but yeah, we need to toughen them up. Maybe that's the right word.
Yeah.
And they need somebody who's going to be on their ass, and they need somebody who's going to make them uncomfortable. As I had a mentor once many, many years ago when I was in my 20s, and he was the CEO of a company. And I know this is going to sound really stupid, but he said, you got to be ready to be uncomfortable, because if you're not squirming, you're not learning. If you're not squirming, you're not learning. I mean, I didn't want to squirm, but he's like, believe me, dude, if you are squirming, you're learning something. Trust me. That means you're always testing yourself. You're always putting, you're always taking on the next challenge.
You're either first or you're last.
Thank you to all. At one point, there were 750. Still pretty close to that right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandmother and your stepsister. We do appreciate having you all out here on a Thursday. I know most people are getting over their hangovers from celebrating last night. And we're really excited that, this may be a whole new chapter in the U.S. soccer game. Let's see how this pans out. Plan is, of course, to hire somebody for the September window. So they got about a month and a half to get that done.
A lot looking like it's going to be Dolo.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got the word out, and the fans are getting the word out that Dolo's not an acceptable pick.
My guess is they probably have a couple of international names that they want to follow up on, and Dolo is going to be their fallback.
Well, we already know they reached out to Club. Club already said, nah, I'm not really that interested. Then Herb Bernard, they're already contacted him. And we know Dolo's been contacted. I haven't heard anything about Wilfred Nancy or Jim Curtin. Sounds like Jim hasn't gotten a call yet.
It sounds like Curtin was pushing for a call for an assistant role.
Assistant role, yeah. He said he'd do anything for U.S. soccer. That's how how committed he is. The ski for $2. I was way too drunk for Pales BS last night. Pales? Who's Pales? Pales. Well, whatever. I mean, yeah, who wants to put up with BS in general? So good for you. Don't suffer fools. All right. All right. I think that might do it for tonight, Brett.
We have two more here.
Oh, we do. No shit.
Yep. This one's talking about criteria. I'm not sure what that means, but
I do, but that's
where are we with did we start to get away with some of these names with tournament experience? Because I'm not completely sold. Like on when people say tournament experience, do they mean World Cup experience? Do they mean Champions League experience? Do they mean CONCACAF Champions, whatever we call it now, CONCACAF Champions Cup experience? Like, these are all tournaments. So what does tournament experience mean, and why is that important? Why is that a criteria for a manager? Would it be nice to have a guy who won the World Cup? Yeah, no doubt about it. But why is that a criteria for everybody? Because at the end of the day, your job is to play game 1 and win game 1, and then your job is to play game 2 and win game 2.
Unless you're Soccer and Berhalter, then you worry about what's happening in 2026.
That's the good point that he just made. This whole process thing where it's going to be step-by-step process and everything is a step-by-step process and it's unimportant because the main goal is 2026 and we just want to keep growing until then. That, man, start focusing on the game we're playing right now and the tournament we're playing right now. I don't want to hear about goddamn 2026 every time there's an interview during Copa. I'm sick of that shit. Yep. Focus on the game ahead of you, period. End of story. I don't want anybody to talk about 2020. We will get to 2026. All right? It's coming. But that's not the point of why we're playing Copa. Copa, you go play to win, period. You win each game in front of you. All right, last one.
The ski was talking about Paul Tenorio's.
Okay, yeah. That was some BS. But at least Tony and Davies
Thank
and
goodness, right?
You know, Jimmy, to be fair, we didn't play any of his parts. They all laid into him for that shit.
Okay, this is Sportsology.
The mold that you said was the way to hire, not you in particular. I'm talking about you.
No, the royal you.
You're already breaking the mold of how you said 14 months ago. This is how you hire. We hired a group from Ireland, I believe Sportsology is from, right? At least one of their offices is there. We
they
had
got
a group
offices
to
here
come
too.
here and put this all together for us and paid the money to do this, and now we're going to throw it out.
Yeah, we should throw it out 100%.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. But is that what they're going to do?
Well, they shouldn't do that. This is bigger than that. You know, I understand. And Tab Ramos, we talked about his quote. Like, there's a time and place to potentially have those types of hires. And
we'll pause there, but yeah. Shouldn't have happened. We mocked it from the get-go.
Absolutely, we mocked it from the get-go. All you had to do was go do a little research on Sportsology's methodology. And then you ask yourself, is Jose Mourinho going to sit down for that? No. It's any top manager in the world going to sit down and go through 2 to 3 hours of a battery of tests to prove they're leadership capable and to prove they're psychologically capable. No, they're not. They will tell you to go suck a big, long, fat dick. That's exactly what's going to happen. And I am glad, apparently Matt didn't figure this out before, but I think Sportsology was they were hired before Matt got there, right? So the process they were going to use had already been established, and Sportsology had an office there, and they'd already cut him a check for almost $1 million. It's really weird because when you you go line by line on their account reports, which are all public, so you can go look them up. You'll notice in the 2021 or 2022 report, it says talent acquisition or talent something. And it's an even $1 million, right? Talent, and that's Sportsology. That's what they were hired to do. Talent acquisition. They hired Matt Crocker. They also provided Matt Crocker with the process and the batteries of tests that these new hires needed to go through. And that only Gregg was apparently willing to do the full 2 hours. And then it comes out that Sportsology did not agree with the hiring of Gregg Berhalter. They had someone else in mind, which we may never know who that someone else was.
The world may never know.
So apparently somebody else did the full test. Maybe it was Jesse. And they had a different pick. They did not think that Gregg was the right guy for the job. But U.S. Soccer and Matt Crocker overruled. So his first decision, was poor. Matt Crocker. So now he's got to make up for it, and hopefully he knows that, and he's going to go out and hire somebody really, really good. We hope. What's this?
I'm not sure. Paul. Little point.
Oh, the guy that was going to come on our show and then couldn't figure out how to connect to a StreamYard?
I don't even think we were on StreamYard at that point. I think we were still doing Zoom, probably.
Were we doing Zoom?
Yeah, because I was literally telling you to tell him, all you got to do is click the link.
That's what I did tell him. It's like right here, dude. Can you not?
We assumed that because he was going for president of U.S. Soccer, right?
Yeah, I know, but if you're going to make a commitment to be on a show and then you get there and you don't know how to use basic technology, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a reason maybe he didn't want, he couldn't come on the show. Or
he researched us. He knew this was not going to be a puffball interview. Yeah. That would be my guess.
But he posted this. He goes, "What the hell is this?" So Lawless said, "Good, thank you, Jurgen. Don't waste our time." Stu also said, "You had to ask. Number one, you had to ask. Number two, glad that's out of the way. And now we can focus on now the focus can be on high-profile candidates that are realistic and have genuine interest in the position."
Yeah, but they had to ask, and you know what? One ask is just one ask. They probably asked twice. Well, what is it that you need?
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, the American 499. Are you the same Gabe who does the show with Connor on occasion? Is that you, Gabe? If so, good work. We're a fan of Connor's and yours. You're not on the show all the time, but you know we like Connor. At least I like Connor. Maybe someday we can have Connor on here. That would be cool. Hey, sweet ass, even better. Appreciate the compliment. Good work, he says, as always, guys. I'm going to need a battery psych test for sanity if they hire Cherundolo and gaslight us into pretending they searched. Yeah, I mean, we don't need that again. You know, honestly, we really, really don't. And I'm wishing Leeds the very best this season. Interesting to see if Aronson, you know, I know he's going to be given an opportunity. Hopefully he's maybe works himself into being re-embraced by the Leeds fans. And then, you know, God forbid Sargent ends up there too, which is a rumor. I don't know if that's still holding true, but if so,
Sargent actually gets some service.
Yep. If so, I'll be watching a lot of Leeds games again next year, even though I watched a lot of Leeds games this year, even though there are no Americans on it, because I don't know.
One of the few championship games that actually got played on our side of the waters.
No, it's just I kind of fell in love with the team.
No, I'm just saying there was always Leeds that got played.
I mean, I'm a Fulham guy, but you know, I didn't really have a championship team, so I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna watch this all season. You know what I mean? Yeah. He has a lot of work to do to get into the side and win over the fans. I agree, but I'm hoping he finds some form and gets his career on track. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he had a conversation with the coach, and it was actually the coach that wanted him to stay. Apparently, I might be wrong on that, but they sat down, and apparently Aronson was like, yeah, if you stay, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get a chance. Some people say Union Berlin didn't want him back on loan again. I don't know the details of that or the facts. So, but I just wish Leeds the best next season, and let's get back in the Premier League. So I have another team to root for outside of Fulham. That will be fun. Tom, don't bogart that joint, my friend. Hey, by the way, pass along our love to Connor. Okay, pass along our love to Connor and Joe. If you know Joe, those are the two shows I watch, Connor and Joe's. And I love. They're both massively entertaining shows. And I love it when you have to do the show yourself without Connor, because that's got to be unnerving as an American, because you're like, damn, all these guys are like, no, I got this American accent. They must be thinking, who is this guy? You know, but you get away with it. So good for you.
So Tom got this message. Obviously, he's the one in blue. His DM on Twitter.
Hi, mate. How reliable is our field heading to Bolton, mate. You're asking me how reliable I think I am? What is the point of this message? Oh, it's from you? My bad, mate.
He had a guy send him a DM asking him how reliable the information for a move is.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm the one that broke it.
That's funny. Gabe says, I hate it when I have to do I hate it when I have to do it myself. We're taking a bit of a break during the summer, but we'll be back weekly soon. Sounds great, man. Very fun show. Connor seems like a really great guy. So does Joe, by the way. They seem like really, Joe, obviously everybody can get emotional about the season. There's no way of getting around. It's kind of like we're emotional about the U.S. soccer games. And, Greg, I mean, I've lost it myself here. I've lost my shit several times here. But again, cheers to you. Hope life's well in England. And we'll be keeping an eye on Leeds next season. All right. Tom says Connor is not okay. I don't know. Do you know Connor? He seems like an all right guy to me. It seems like an all right guy to me. Okay. I think that's going to do it for tonight. That is 3 hours and 60 minutes jam-packed full of U.S. soccer content. I don't think that Brett and I thought this show was going to be this long, but it has been. And
one of the ones I did think was going to be, yeah.
So, of course, my favorite GBV album is V1000. Of course, you know that, right? I mean, it's got to be the best GB. I mean, there are lots of them, though. And then you got all Pollard's solo releases through the roof, right? There's so many solo albums that he does. He put one out, it seemed like at one point, like one every year. Pollard is crazy with his prolificness. I know. Brett's got to go, so we got to end this show. I want to make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and of course, with your stepsister, who's always welcome on our show. And I hope you guys hold hands while you watch it together. And until next time, we'll be back Monday, hopefully with a lot more info. We'll know more stuff by then. I'm sure we will. And until then, have a great night. Cheers.
That hurt.
And to me, it's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating because
multiple mental health clinicians said that Derek had limited intellectual ability and was not capable of consenting.
congratulations. Boom. Right? Change soccer in America forever.